I didn't have any problem with the minutes this week whatsoever.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So I'll make a,
So now to do the
unless you
minutes
have
of
a correction, David,
January.
I don't,
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the draft minutes and make them approved of September.
February 12th?
February 12th.
Okay.
okay. All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Then, so approved. Now, we have some minutes from previous, right?
Yes. Okay, the February 5th minutes were the ones where Commissioner Kenney asked me to go back and look at the tape
For what reason?
because she
So
wanted...
you could write what she forgot, or what?
Well, this was where she wanted her speech captured about the secretary taking the minutes on their personal computer, all of that. So I went back to the tape and I looked for it, but it was on the previous week's minutes that have already been voted. It wasn't in this meeting. So,
The fact that she was complaining about you taking the computer home was in one of the sets of minutes that we've already done.
yes, correct. So I made all the other changes, and I have my markup if you want to know where they are. Because normally, when I do a second draft, I'd make them all in red or something. February 5. Yeah, these are the February 5 minutes. Okay, so on page 3, where it's on reports, it's not Commissioner Sorensen, it's Commissioner Babson. Read a
Yeah.
letter from the Blackwood family.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the only reason we held these up that week was because she thought she hadn't been quoted properly, right?
Right, but there were a
Because-
couple of other things that she
Okay.
wanted added in, and I did put them in.
And where are they?
Okay, and
Please.
this is one of the ones, under public session, Commissioner Sorensen asked that the record reflect that the commissioners had sealed the minutes of the foregoing non-public session, and I added, Commissioner Kenney said she stands by her January 8th non-public minutes and that they were accurate. And then the fourth paragraph from the bottom.
What page you on?
Sorry, page 4, same page. After the commissioners mark them up, the reports will go back for approval to the department heads.
Yeah.
And then 2 paragraphs further down, last year the county printed 160 reports and had many left over.
You said that was page 4?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Second paragraph. up.
Second paragraph from the bottom.
From the bottom.
okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then on the last page, Commissioner Sorensen said that he and Commissioner Babson had received a recommendation for an attorney and that they would meet with him at 3 p.m. on February 7th in Freiburg.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the changes.
Okay.
The last change requested actually was voted in the previous meeting, so.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of February 5th.
I'll second it. Any further comments regarding the minutes of February 5th? All those in support of the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye. Well, hearing the changes that you mentioned, so it seems that you put the changes in.
Okay. We have any other minutes, outstanding
Yeah, we
minutes?
have non-public minutes. You want to look at them? Or wait?
Mr. Gibson, you sure is coming?
Unless I messed up and was supposed to call him, I thought it was all set up by his boss.
Okay,
I may have blown it. I'll expect him here.
okay. We can look at the non-public.
Why don't we look at him?
If we have to discuss them, then we'll have to go into
Yeah, if you have to
non-public.
discuss them, we'll have to do it later, but you may be able to deal with them without. That's it. And this is just a place marker for the meeting that had no minutes taken.
enough.
Yeah, I guess it's simple enough.
Make a motion that we
Yeah, it's like
approve the
almost
minutes
nothing.
of, the non-public minutes of February 12th.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, second, I know you cannot discuss it, but I just want to say, if you have two parties, if the one party offers something, you need to put it in, or if the other party say
What?
something. You know, if there was an offer made, it should be in. Just
What's she
that.
talking about?
I don't know. What were you saying, Commissioner?
Did you see this?
Yeah.
I
And
think if there is an offer made, you can put it in.
If there's what?
If there's an offer made, you can put it also in.
I thought we were doing no minutes for this
Yeah, I
meeting.
know, no, but you do minutes now, so.
They're not minutes, they're just a placemarker.
Okay, then what is this then?
It's a place marker so that we have a record for the file of what the second session was about. We had a terrible time figuring out what all those non-public sessions were last year because there was no paperwork.
Yeah.
This just says there's a non-public session and this was the topic of discussion. You don't have to vote them, you can delete them if you want, I'll just throw them out, but it seems like it's useful to have a,
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Both.
You opposed?
Yeah.
All right, it's passed.
David, just for the record, do we need to unseal them because there really were no meetings and there's nothing here and there's nothing, the one-liner?
Yeah, we can unseal them.
Why don't we do that? I'll make a motion to unseal the non-public minutes of February 12th.
I'll second it.
roll call, please.
All those in, yeah, roll call.
Mr.
Discussion.
Kenney?
Well, how about the discussion?
Discussion?
Oh, do you want discussion?
For the unseal, you don't need a roll call.
No discussion? Okay. Then
So what is the
Roll
vote?
roll call
Commissioner
that.
Kenney?
Yep.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
So it
I'm
is-
sorry, Commissioner, did you vote yes?
Yeah, I already voted.
How did you vote? Yes or no?
I vote yes.
You voted yes.
So
Before she
that
voted
was-
0. Okay.
So what is it?
Let's say the 19th.
Okay, and here is.
Maybe Robin Gordon would like to come in now. It's 9 o'clock according to that clock.
2014.
It's a liar.
You got more?
Yeah, one more.
Oh, we got another one,
That
okay.
clock is a liar.
That's my clock. I took the battery out and set it
Oh.
at 9 o'clock, so it would never be late.
Motion. So you have another chef?
Well,
Is that it? Do you have another chef?
not everyone in the sheriff's department belongs to the union.
Where did I see that?
It's at the top of
It's
the
at
page.
the top, yeah, I thought she had said that it wasn't, the shift differential issue wasn't relevant over there because everybody
Careful what you say.
Is under the
This is
same
non-public.
contract.
David, why don't we wait until we get to a
So we're going to
non-public
discuss
this?
corrections from non-public and public?
I think we better wait.
Let's wait till we
We'll hold
get to
these
it.
and go to non-public to approve them. I think there's gotta be some changes
Or
made.
to correct them?
Um,
Okay, so,
Maybe when Ned can see it.
is next door coming?
When, could you check if
Where
Robin
is the
Gordon's in?
agenda?
My guess is I blew it if Mr. Gibson is in here.
He may not know where to go.
That was a nice thought. Huh.
So how do you have next door on it? Because I
What's
don't, she's not on the agenda.
You don't have the
Oh,
right,
you changed it.
you
Oh,
don't have the
so,
right agenda.
oh, okay. So they changed the agenda then. I have 2 of February 19. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's this one. Okay.
You got items under the work session?
Yep.
You wanna give them, wanna list them now while we're waiting?
Oh,
If you got 'em.
The mission statement, spyglass, internet usage, and the audit. Then I have couple of bills I want to discuss here. Thank you, Annette.
Well, if we have to wait a minute, I just want to say, I check up on, last week, there was a discussion about the IT. I believe it was 194,000 or 196,000.
Right.
And I talked to Representative Cordelli. He said he added in the budget all the IT services, and that came up to 194 or 196. He asked the office for a detailed information, but he didn't receive it.
Okay.
So the facts are, we didn't pay Mr. Rich, which he was accused of being paid.
Well, he said
Excuse me,
IT
I have the floor,
services.
Commissioner. That he wasn't, that he was accused of having taken $194,000 on a $102,000 contract. Those facts aren't correct, that he was only paid $102,000, which his contract calls for, and another $16,000 for the parts, which are also in his contract. And to say that he got paid $194,000 when he didn't, somebody's owed an apology.
The figure was not correct. The total
Well,
IT
there was-
budget was correct at 194,000, but it was assumed, or,
The accusation was that he
Yeah.
got paid $194,000.
which was not true.
And he
Well,
only had a
if-
contract of $102,000.
Well, the contract is 102,000, but if you add up all the IT services, he is the one that hold the IT contract. So if you add it all up, that is the number what you're getting to. He asked for a detailed information, but he still didn't receive it. So the only information what you have is you add everything up and you have $194,000.
The correction, though, is that's what it cost the IT budget, was 194,000. The contract that Rich gets was 102,000, plus
And
plus
Commissioner
about
Kenny's
16,000.
accusation was that he took $194,000.
Okay, let's
Well,
move on.
IT
Move ahead.
services.
Let's move on.
Good morning. I haven't
Good
seen you
morning.
three for a while, so I thought I'd come and give you an update. with
Okay.
what's happening in my office. Terrence O'Rourke left. He went into civil practice. I think we did him in with the criminal stuff. He'd had enough. He only lasted, unfortunately, 6 months, which was a disappointment, but I think he just had had enough of criminal work all of a sudden. So the hunt started again, and I received an application from a woman who's been prosecuting in Utah for 17 years. Her credentials are really pretty impressive. The downside of her application was she's not a member of the New Hampshire Bar. But she hustles, New Hampshire allows people to waive in by motion as opposed to taking the bar exam now if you have so many years' experience.
Excuse me, Robin, I didn't understand what you said. New Hampshire allows you to waive
Waive in,
if-
you can not take the bar exam if you have so many years' experience in another state, and you do it by motion. You file a motion with the Supreme Court, and then they have a whole process of that, and the first thing that happens is you have to supply a ton of information to the Character and Fitness Committee at the Supreme Court. And she was able to do that within a very short period of time. The committee actually worked with us to get her in front of the committee, and that happened February 6th. They are recommending her to the Supreme Court for admittance, and the swearing-in is April 8th. So I've been talking with the Supreme Court and our court about having her appear in cases before getting sworn in. And so we're working through that whole process. I've gotten the approval from the Attorney General to hire her, and I conditionally offered her the position. So she's coming. For
Can
us.
we afford her with all the
Yep.
years' experience?
Yes, she was anxious to get out of Utah. They have district attorneys out there, and they have 4-year terms. She supported her boss in the
Wrong
election,
candidate.
and the boss lost. So the new district attorney made a lot of changes, and she ended up leaving. So,
Good.
Robin, what happens in a case like this where they're not a member of
Board?
the New Hampshire Bar, and you just explained that they can petition and get it, but when does she get up to speed? Is it just a learning situation to get up to speed on those small changes between Utah law
yeah,
and New Hampshire law?
the local rules, I mean, we all follow essentially the same rules of evidence. They're a uniform set, and so it'll just be local rules that I will be with her in the courtroom until she gets sworn in. So it'll be a very short learning curve for her. She actually, I mean, some of her experience was
Is she
she's
from
actually.
Salt Lake City?
It's yes, she's, well, some of her she's taught. There's a faculty for the basic prosecutor's course for the state of Utah. She's taught at the police academy out there. Done a lot of basic prosecution teaching, which will be great for us. And it was interesting, I was speaking with the Deputy Attorney General here, and we were trying to figure out the process of how can we get her here and get her in the bar. And it was Ann Rice, and she said to me, after I explained or went over some of her credentials, she said, we're looking for an attorney. I said, no, Ann, you're not having her. You can't have her. So,
Well, how do you check the references? For
I called
someone
the
like that?
Utah,
What?
I called the Utah Bar
Oh.
Association, make sure she's a member of good standing. The vetting process you go through here for the character and fitness was really daunting. I mean, she had to supply all kind, I don't even know, but it was pretty,
Mhm.
they were surprised that she was organized enough to get it all to them in time, in like a space of a week.
Okay.
So she was the head of the Special Victims Unit out there, and sent me some links. I called references, usually, obviously, you put references down that are gonna give you a good review, but one of the women that I tried to speak with was the executive director for their domestic violence coalition group, and she wasn't available, so I asked the receptionist, I said, well, what do you think about this woman? And she had, I mean, she didn't put her down as a reference,
Mhm.
and her comment was, we think she walks on water. So I'm hopeful,
Oh, good.
yeah.
Good.
And I'm hopeful she will live in Carroll County, which would be nice.
Mhm. Okay, so you expect her to come?
Mid-March. She
Mid-March,
has
mhm.
rented a place in Wolfboro, so she can get the lay of the land and check
Yeah.
out, because she's gonna buy a house.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
So there was no one here around in the state of New Hampshire?
I had some applications, I had no one with this level of experience. It's a good time to be hiring, because there are very few jobs, but I had applicated, I think that the next most qualified person was in Florida, the experience. A lot of first year, just past the bar, people applying
How do you advertise for the position?
through the Bar Association. It goes up
So it
online.
goes all over the country?
Whoever has access to it. I mean, we put that online. The print stuff takes too long now.
Mhm.
It's amazing, but everybody looks online, and I had her application within a day.
Really? Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
She seems to be on the ball.
Yeah. Like,
Hopefully she'll stay.
hopefully she'll stay. On another note, the National District Attorneys Association has just posted trainings for prosecutors. It's an organization our office does belong to,
Mhm.
and it's all expenses paid. And strangely enough, the training's in Utah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they pay.
Would she be one that's
No,
going?
No, no. I'm sure, if anything, she'd probably be teaching something, but they pay for the flight, they pay for lodging, they pay for the course, they give them a stipend.
Hmm.
It's absolutely at no cost to
Wow.
prosecutors, this is fabulous. So I've had both the other two apply. We'll see if we can get a slot.
Oh, you have to apply for it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because we sent Brandon I got a scholarship for him through the National District Attorneys Association. He went out to California for a
Hmm.
week-long training, and
Yeah.
they paid, just great. We paid for their fare, but they gave us a scholarship, so it's good. It's good to have them get out and,
Yeah. There's no way that we could put a stipulation on if they get it, they stay here for a while?
Well, when it's free, it's kind of tough to put that. I mean, generally, I usually ask for
They
at
could
least
use
a
it.
year. I mean,
It's a benefit to them. They could use it to go anyplace.
yeah, I've never, no one's ever left this quick before. I mean, they've left, but
Yeah.
this was sort of,
Did he stay locally?
no. Portsmouth.
He was the
Actually,
one that lived down around Barrington or
Yeah.
somewhere down there anyway, wasn't he?
Yeah. He actually went to a firm, which I can't remember the name of, but one of the prior attorneys is there. One of our prior attorneys is working there, so
Hmm.
Matt Stokowski. It was interesting.
Okay.
So that's all the news we have.
That's all the news?
That's all the news. It's
From
good
next
news.
door?
It's good news.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Okay.
So-
when do you
she-
expect her to be here?
Mid-March.
Mid-March.
She's rented a place in Wolfboro as of the 11th. Expects to be, she's driving cross-country with 2 dogs, 2 cats, and an 11-year-old son.
Huh?
So that ought to be a trip.
Rolling box of noise.
Yep, I'll bring her in as soon as she arrives.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Babson, you got a guest here this morning?
Yep, I have, I'm sorry, Mr. Gibson, I don't know your first name.
Oh, Dave.
Dave? I have Mr. David Gibson from Bayring, who is going to talk to us about telephones. And Dave, this is our sheriff, guy, Mr. Santucci, who, one of our deputies at
Oh, sorry, son, right in. Nice to meet you.
And Wynette is our
HR.
HR person, and Howie Chandler runs the nursing home, and we should have
Nice to meet you.
the crew from the jail coming over here to listen to what you can,
Where would you like me?
You can have a seat right
anywhere
here.
you want.
Oh, well.
No, the jail's late.
Oh, sorry.
What we're interested in is getting some idea of what we're doing here with telephones, and whether you could bid on a total contract for the whole place, and anything to have to do with communications in general.
Well,
And we already have one line of yours here for some reason.
Yeah, tell us what you've got here so far.
Where is it delivered? Is it in this building?
No.
No,
Over at the
nursing home.
nursing home.
Is the old nursing home, Howie, or is it the new one now?
We have both voice over internet protocol in the new building, but we use Bay Ring for resident service and for hardline backup for emergencies.
So we provide hardline backup for emergencies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think several years ago, I think, we had put, I think it's been a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been in there, and I think we did provide some copper services,
Mhm.
probably backup. So, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I don't know.
And you're located out of Pease?
We're based out of Pease, and we service, so we're actually the oldest deregulated carrier. Telecom services were deregulated in '96. We're actually the oldest deregulated carrier in northern New England. We're based out of Portsmouth, but, we have a national service area, but, our core service area is really New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts. We have a fairly extensive fiber optic network and broadband network, throughout New England.
Excuse me, Dave,
Go
that
ahead.
you've put in or that you rent from Fairpoint? or
Both,
somebody else?
not from Fairpoint, but yeah, that we put in, as well as we have connections with other third-party fiber providers. So really what we can do is we marry what we have, on the pole, so to speak, with fiber that other providers have run, and then basically that allows us to deliver an end-to-end solution. So obviously in New Hampshire, where you have it's a relatively rural state, and a lot of times locations are, very far apart, we may be able to hit a location or two on our fiber, but it's, we can basically build a network, which makes us sort of unique. So, our model is pretty straightforward. We provide everything from, the traditional, phone lines to voice over IP, high-speed internet, fiber-based services, as well as hosted PBX services, where we actually go in and provide the phones that sit on the desk, so to speak, and provide that as a fully managed solution. So as well as data center services, so we operate 3 data centers. So really our model, there's a lot of carriers out there that are sort of an inch deep and a mile wide. Our model's a little different. We concentrate on New England, and our model is really more of being sort of an inch wide and a mile deep. So what that delivers for, our clients is sort of that one-stop shopping that a lot of them like. It also allows us to really sort of deliver a higher level of service. So, we kind of, as an organization, we pride ourselves on sort of this concierge model of service. So in other words, we go in beyond the DMARC, we come in and we do a lot of, troubleshooting and work with our clients. So, excuse me, I'm not sure if I'm getting over a cold, I just about ready to get one. But because of that unique model, really one of our strongest, client bases is what we call the institutional marketplace. So in other words, it's hospitals, schools, municipalities, large nonprofits, primarily because they represent a very unique sort of niche in telecom, which is that they have an unbelievably high reliance on quality internet and voice, but they also typically have a disproportionate low number of internal resources to support it. So, we come in and typically we really fit that bill very well for that type of client. Whereas we have clients like Liberty Mutual, they're great clients of ours, but at the end of the day, they have a telecom staff of 150 people. So while they appreciate the fact that we provide a really high level of, support and service, it's not necessarily critical to their business because they have a lot of their own internal resources as well. So that's sort of a really high level overview.
Go ahead.
So what could you do for us?
Yeah, I just kind of,
Well, I think it really depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking to sort of, you looking to network your buildings? Are you looking for high-speed internet? Are you looking for just replacement of voice services? Are you looking for like an internal phone system as well? Or all of it, I should say.
I don't think we've reached a point, Dave, where we know what we're after. I guess you're trying to find out, first of all, what you could offer, second of all, what we'd need to provide you if we were gonna go out for a request for quote. We also have to find out whether all of your stuff is compatible with the sheriff's office, the nursing home, this administration building.
Well, I think the best way to start, or I should say the most logical way to start would be, first to get an understanding of all of your locations, how those locations are currently connected. So a lot of counties, especially when you have it like Stratford's county complex, well, we actually ran it for them, but, while they may have 5 buildings, at the end of the day, they're all networked together because they ran their own fiber between the buildings.
We don't have that.
We don't
Okay,
have that.
so that's good to know. So all of the locations, any sort of networking that's been done between the locations would be, if any, would be good to understand.
So you have subcontractors that would lay fiber optics?
Yes, or we do it
Or do you
ourselves.
yourself?
Yeah, it depends on the project and what our schedule looks like. But yes, we do private fiber builds for our clients, and we do that in a number of ways. So
So you dig the trenches and lay the pipe and put the wire through?
That's correct.
Okay.
And we do that in a number of ways, especially for government. It becomes a little tricky. Sometimes, what we'll do is we'll just treat it like a construction project, right? So it sort of becomes a one-time expense, and then charge a small maintenance fee just, for breaks and that type of stuff. The second way, which is actually more popular for government, is sort of a service model, which has, you don't really pay anything up front, but then we do sort of a long-term, like a 30-year lease on the fiber. So a lot of it really revolves more, it's the same fiber one way or the other. A lot of it really revolves more around, your budget and how the budget works. So some folks, they might find at the end of their fiscal year that they have a surplus that they'd like to sort of use to offset a fiber build. But what we do is first if you want to link the buildings together, we go and we take a look at all of it, and then we can sort of dice up how you want it quoted. That's not a problem. So that would be the
I
first.
think that's something we'll be looking at next year in our budget, to connect the new nursing home to this building, and also go all the way down to the jail.
Yep, that's,
With-
just to let you, depending on the nature of the bill, it's a good time, it's refreshing to have people who are looking at it now, because, these types of projects can sometimes take 6-8 months. So it's great to start the process early. So that would be the first bit of information, is all the addresses, any of the buildings that you would like to see linked together, maybe it's all of them. It would be nice to know what location you would want to have as the hub. So whether it would be this building, I would think most likely it would probably be the sheriff's department, would typically, just from other counties. Usually that's a more logical network hub, so in other words, where everything's gonna come in.
You provide services to what other counties?
We do.
What other, what? Which one?
Stratford and Rockingham.
Stratford and
And I shouldn't say, we probably preserve some, we probably provide some level of service to to all of the counties, but Stratford and Rockingham is sort of where we are the complete provider for those counties. So this isn't new to us as far as this type of project. So,
Dave,
yeah.
you said you needed to know addresses, buildings, and hub. What do you mean by addresses?
Just the addresses of all the buildings.
Oh.
That's
The addresses of all the buildings that are associated with, that you would like built into this project. For phone service, fiber service, that type of stuff. And the reason why we do it that way is because when I go out and cost this out for you, I do it link by link by link, so to speak, if you're thinking about fiber. So a lot of times what might happen is someone might say, wow, this one's a really inexpensive link, let's jump on this. But there might be another one where we say, you know what, let's put that out, let's look at that as more of a capital item and look out 24, 36 months. So it just gives you the ability to figure out the best way financially to plan for it.
You don't need to know things like how many phones we have?
Well, so I was kind of drilling from the top and bringing it.
Going down that mile.
Going down, yeah.
Okay.
So that would be sort of at a high level. And the reason why I say this is because how we deliver phone and internet service will depend on whether or not we build fiber between all the buildings. So in other words, if we build fiber between all the buildings,
Is that the first step?
it can be, yeah. It doesn't have to be, but it's the most logical way to start, because if your buildings aren't networked, then basically what you'll need is high-speed internet delivered to each of your buildings, right? However, if we take a look at the fiber and the infrastructure and we say, you know what, this makes a lot of sense for the county, it changes how we're gonna deliver internet, because then we wouldn't go out and deliver internet to every building on the campus. We would go out and just deliver a single larger pipe to one building and then distribute it over the fiber. So that's why, logically, I think it's the most prudent to sort of start at the top and move down. So with regards to internet and voice, which would be the second component that would be helpful, if you know how many phone lines, what type of phone lines you have at each of these locations, that would be helpful for us so that we can quote it. If you don't, if you just scan 1 month's invoices, and we can weed it out because we know how to read all the invoices. So if you have, all of your providers, whether it's internet, we don't want cellular, internet, and voice services, including Bay Ring, whatever you have still with Bay Ring, just 1 month's bill or your SIP provider at the nursing home. Just scan that to us, then we can actually build an inventory and we'll start working on that analysis. So we can do that. So that would be sort of the middle layer when we're thinking about telecom, right? So we're starting at, the big stuff, linking the buildings together, building one big network. The second component is the services that feed the network, right? So what comes in and feeds the network, and that's where those invoices will be helpful, just 1 month. It doesn't have to be a big thing, including long distance. And the third component, which is where we're drilling down to the phone level, would be if you know how many actual handsets, phones that you have in each of the buildings, we can then take a look at, if you're interested in our hosted phone product, which is where we actually come out and we provide a fully managed service, which includes the phones and the voicemail and all that stuff. That's not in addition to your telecom services, it's actually a replacement, because once you go to our hosted voice over IP system, hosted PBX system, then you don't buy phone lines from us. It's hard to explain, but it makes a lot of sense when you see it on paper. Okay. So that would be sort of drilling down. That's about as local as you can get as far as, looking at telecom. But it also gives you a roadmap, because what you may decide is to knock off a certain number of things, but at least sort of, here are some options for the future.
The problem with knocking off things is that we need the whole complex, all uniform, all done, so that we know we can do a lot of different things rather than piecemealing it here and doing it there. You got a question, Sheriff? Comment?
Yeah, I was just talking. We already do have high-speed internet in all the buildings, I believe, and there's already PBX system in our facility.
We have multiple PBX systems.
Well, so-
different, like one's an Avaya system, one's an NEC. Do you have the ability to make those two talk, or do we have to get, because we just got new phones probably 3 years ago, and business office got them 4 years ago.
But they can't talk.
There are some ways to make. So first of all, we're gonna give you all of the components components.
Mhm.
But then you can make sort of the business decision as to whether or not you want to go from building fiber all the way down to replacing a phone system,
Mhm.
all of your phone systems, or you may decide, let's just build fiber and consolidate internet and phone service and do that. So that was my only point on
Mhm.
having it compartmentalized that way,
Okay.
okay? As far as having the two phone systems talk,
It's probably three to four.
yeah, it depends on the phone system, and the ability for them to talk is relatively limited. So one of the things that we can do is we can build, we can work around the phone system to the extent that we can usually build 4-digit dialing. So in other words, you should be able to 4-digit dial from one phone system to the other. So we can build that kind of connectivity. Sharing voicemails, auto attendance, I don't know if you have unified messaging on the Avaya system, that becomes a little bit more difficult because each of the phone systems are in essence proprietary to the manufacturer. So it's, you know, it's not a mystery that they don't talk to each other because, you know, Avaya wants you to buy Avaya for all of your locations, as NEC does as well. So that's why there's that limitation. There are some things as a carrier that we can do to mitigate it, but you can't make it seamless.
Yeah, but I think that's the problem, is we just spent a large amount of money on, I think, the business office and us, but, like, if you look at the phone bills, will you be able to, like, we have a PRI coming in, and we have a T1 line coming in, and you can tell that by the phone?
Yeah, that's why the invoices, I mean,
All right.
unless you guys have a really detailed understanding of how everything's built, off of the invoices is very easy for us, because we just know the
So
bill
I don't
codes.
have
and-
to, yeah, I just want to make sure I don't have to cut.
Well, you must know a lot, because you had said all the right words, PRIs, so, yeah, T1, you know, T1 PRI, which is what's feeding the phone system, and then you have direct inward dial numbers, probably a block of 100 or 200 of those.
I think we have 200.
Yeah,
So,
so,
well, we don't use them all, though. That was we only use 20 exchanges, maybe, in our system. I mean, I think we have 200 in our PBX that can,
wow. Well, the numbers themselves aren't particularly expensive. The reason why a lot of people, it's not necessarily bad advice, people tell you to buy more than you need, is because when you're buying those numbers, what's nice as you grow is you want to keep them consecutive, because usually the last 4 digits of your direct number correlate to your extension in the phone system. So usually when you do buy that service, it is recommended that you buy lots of numbers. They're not very expensive. I think, you know, a block of 100 might be $20 a month. I mean, it's a very small percentage of your telecom bill. But we'll do that analysis. But like I said, you know, with regards to if you wanted to go down to the phone level, I mean, that's the nice thing about the hosted system is if you know what the pricing is and you know how it works, you may decide, hey, at least I have this in my back pocket, so when the next location the phone system ages out or breaks, you can you can put it in, and then as other departments either want to give up their phone system or it comes to end of life, then you can sort of grow on one platform. So that's why the information, if we have this, what we won't get off of the invoices is how many stations do you have, you know, how many actual phones. So that would be the information we would need to know by location in order to get you the hosted phone quote.
is there a secondary market for the, like if we decide to like get one system, is there a secondary market that, or would we do that on our own?
Who supports the Avaya now? Carousel?
I don't know who does the Avaya. We have the NEC in Spalding Hill,
Oh.
does, as our tech people for that, but I didn't know if like we decided to do it, if there was a way we could, I mean, with us, we couldn't just give up our phone system, wait a day and put one in. Ours would have to go in, you know. So I don't know if there's a secondary market if we wanted to try and sell some of the PBXs and get on one system.
There is a secondary market. I would probably tell you that there's a stronger secondary market for Avaya systems than there are NECs. That said, you're not gonna like
Yeah.
you're not gonna like the numbers on either. So, I mean, it really would have to make sense for you. You know, specific to, you know, to sort of the sheriff's department, you know, we would want to make sure that if you were going to take a serious look at hosted PBX, we'd want to make sure that, you know, that we fully flush out all the features that you're currently using on the NEC. You know, call recording, whether you know, how you're doing that. Just because we just want to, you know, we do service police departments on the system. It's not unusual, but every law enforcement agency uses them a little bit differently.
Yeah,
So-
we do have Comlog that records our system. I don't know if that
You
makes
have
sense. Comlog, that's our record.
Yeah, what we would do is what we provide, you wouldn't need that on our system. We actually do it.
Right in the system.
It's baked into the system. It's actually kind of nice only because when you take a call recording and if the call gets transferred, it patches all of the transfers together. So you get a single audio playback. But so once we get those three pieces of information, you know, the building addresses that you have, and, you know, the ones that you want networked, we get sort of the sample, months of all of your voice and internet bills, and then the station counts by location, right? How many phones you have at each location, not lines, actual phones by location. We can start crunching the numbers, then come back to you and have a discussion as to, you know, what you want to, you know, what you want to sort of dig deeper into, and maybe all of it, right?
Dave, this is Jason Johnson and Jason Henry. They're
Good morning. Good morning.
from our House of Correction.
Hi.
We hire by the first name to cut down the cost of jerseys. They can just say Jason and
That's it. It works well.
quantity discount. But they have I don't know, how many phones you have?
Maybe 15 to 20 stations.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Howard's got a question.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Howard.
sorry.
What kind of bandwidth would you be able to improve bandwidth coming into the site here from what we're getting from Time Warner now?
What are you getting from Time Warner now?
Don't know.
Oh.
Well, I didn't know whether you're gonna be using them or whether you'd be bringing in a separate fiber line.
Well, we would bring in a fiber line. So when we talk about, you know, what size pipe, so to speak, that we bring in, a lot of it will be dependent upon whether or not you move forward with networking the building. So I mean, if I was going to speak offhand and say that you did go forward and network the buildings together, I would probably think at the minimum we would bring in a 75 meg pipe to feed the campus, maybe a 100 meg pipe to feed the campus. We're a little different than your traditional cable or even DSL in the extent that a lot of times when you talk about internet, you talk about download speeds and upload speeds. And usually you have a high download speed and a low upload speed. So when I say 75 meg or 100 meg, that would be symmetrical. So it would be 100 meg down, 100 meg up, and it would be on fiber.
That is unusual.
It is, I mean, it's really designed, it's an enterprise type product. So it's a product that's designed for high availability, there's no latency. In other words, it only comes in two flavors, on and off. It's not dependent upon traffic. So in other words, a lot of people, if they may have Time Warner at home, they may know that if in your neighborhood there's a bunch of people gaming at 6 o'clock at night, your internet gets slower, because that's what we call best available bandwidth. So in other words, it's shared in the community, right? So when we talk about bandwidth, when we talk about what we deliver over fiber, it's not shared. So if we tell you if it's a 50 meg by 50 meg connection, all day long, it's 50 meg by 50 meg. It's not a shared resource.
How about television?
No.
How would we work that? Let's say we went with you, how would we manage, because we have 103 residents next door? What would be your recommendation for us keeping that television service, keeping some kind of television service?
I assume you use Time Warner currently?
Yes.
Exactly. We could go satellite.
You absolutely could go satellite. I guess I would have to,
Excuse me, Dave,
yeah.
a couple of things. Why don't you guys come up front here so we're not,
Oh,
Howie
Yeah,
and
John, come on up.
John's our high-tech person, and Howie
hey,
and...
John.
Hey.
I can remember back, because I was initially in on when Time Warner came here, and the discussion was satellite, and they said that we were gonna have a dish for, and the whole building would have been covered with dishes in order to supply the 100 rooms.
So I'll give you my disclaimer that I'm not, I can talk about fiber, voice, and internet all day long. My knowledge base on commercial television is limited.
Okay.
I do know that there are places that I think the days of one dish, one TV are over. I believe that they have, I guess the best way to describe it would be hotel and packages, which is probably the same type of package the nursing home has.
I've put in nursing home dish package. It's not difficult, but I was hoping that it might be part of a package with you guys as well. That'd be.
No, you know what,
that'd be
fiber and voice
enforceable.
keeps us pretty darn busy right now. Yeah, a lot of our focus, and part of the reason I think we execute fairly well is we have a very strong focus on sort of business and government. We don't have a residential client base to speak of, so with few exceptions, we don't get a tremendous amount of demand for, IPTV. So, the other thing that you could take a look at is you could look at third-party, IPTV providers, who could basically stream what amounts to cable broadcasting, over the IP network, and then, distribute it down. That's giving you the technology answer. I would say that if I had to think about your clientele, that may be, knowing your clientele, I would probably think that might be a little bit more complicated and not be able to provide sort of the services that they would come to expect in television. Only because as a county nursing home, you're probably drawing county residents, and their expectation probably would be to have a channel package that is familiar to them, which you may not be able to necessarily get with a third-party IP streaming service. You would obviously be able to get it with Time Warner, and you would be able to probably get it with a direct TV.
Good.
Sorry.
No, I just tell the chairman that I have a couple of questions when you two are done. Howie, the residents have a phone in their own room.
Some do.
Some do. Is that included in our package? Or do they write their own check at the end of the month to the nursing home, and we get the nursing home check as revenue?
No, they're actually being billed directly by Bayring. So it's a private, and it's not the best system in the world, because it's relatively expensive to them, and not everybody can afford it. But our telephone system has the capability of our putting extensions in, and being able to share lines, and be able to bill.
So you're telling us Bayring is too expensive?
Hmm.
This is the perfect time, we got 18 guys to jump on it.
Oh, no, on a residential service, they're paying for what little use they put to it. The minimum residential service is expensive. It would make more sense, and it's not a reflection of Bayring. It's a matter of individual residential service is an expensive way in a nursing home to do it. There's an installation fee, the minimum charges are so great. Our phone system, we could put essentially extensions of our business system in there and bill them less and actually generate money for the county.
That would be the most common way for folks to do it. If we did go out and build fiber and build into the complex, that would dramatically change our pricing for for residential service, but that is.
That would be going down, not up, not to get confused here.
It's going down, going down.
If I may add.
Unless up is an option, then,
If I may add here on that note, John Rich from Cybertron, the IT administrator here, Howie, when the phone system was put in and planned during the construction of the nursing home, we talked about that with Sandy, and she decided that was just not something she wanted to tackle at that time. So everything's in place to do that. Every room is wired with actually 2 Ethernet jacks. So it's all in place to move forward with that at some point in the future. And it was discussed, and Sandy just felt that it was just too much at that point to put that in. So.
I think one of the things that's an interesting sort of, the typical model of what they call voice hoteling, which is what you're referring to, has always been, we put the phone out, right? And then, we gotta collect the data from the phone as far as calls that are, what calls are made, and then you have to go through a re-rating process, and then, obviously invoice that out and go through the collection sort of model of it. Because of sort of the dramatic changes in things like long distance rates. So people would not do that because there's a lot of infrastructure to go on to collect $20 a month or $25 or $30 a month. Now typically, especially with the PBX, if you did decide to, we can help you through this, but if you did decide to do that, really the more logical model is you just say, it's $20 a month, and you can, you can block international in the phone system, and you can dial all you want and take calls all you want.
That's the only way to do it.
So a lot of people did stray away from things like that because it is a billing and collections nightmare. It is a billing and collections nightmare. However, we have people that go and they may charge an annual fee, they may do it monthly, but if families paying for it, and even for clients that do direct bill from us, we just put a credit card on file and just auto process it because it's a fixed fee and there's no surprises.
With our phone system at the nursing home, I think we have everything in-house we need to start doing that. We could populate various rooms with IP sets, tie right into your phone systems, easy enough to move residents from one room to another, quick changes. It's all in place, ready to be done.
And we wouldn't do the Carroll County package, we would do the flat rate.
Right.
No reason to do call accounting.
It would just be part of their system. What we have in place is we could bring in more SIP lines. We already have some Bay Ring SIP lines in place. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No.
Okay, we already have Bay Ring SIP lines in place. We could increase that easily enough and take care of that. That's, when we designed the nursing home and put the whole IT system in, all this was discussed, and while Sandy felt that she wasn't ready for that, everything's in place to easily implement that.
It's an easy transition. It is an easy transition.
Now, getting back to the high-speed internet, that is in our IT long-range plan. That's the next logical step for us, whether it's Bay Ring or somebody else, that remains to be seen, but that is absolutely where we need to go. Currently, we have, between all the buildings, 5 different internet feeds from Time Warner, who is now going to become Comcast as well, and the jury's out whether that's a good thing or not. But if we were to pool all that money in, we could easily pay for one of these very high-speed internet feeds. What we don't have, and what I would really want from you or whoever the vendor would be, is dark fiber between our buildings. Can you provide us that?
Yeah, so we actually started the conversation.
That's how we started.
The commissioners had asked, what do you need in order for Bay Ring to come in and sort of give us a package? And I started by saying, number 1 on the list, all of your addresses that you would want networked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can start the process of looking at fiber services, and we can give you a bunch of different options, whether it be dark fiber or high cap lit fiber. We can do that. The second thing was to take a look at all of your voice and internet invoices, so that we can sort of build an analysis for you, so you can see all of this. And then the third thing, which was talking more about hosted phones, phones on the desk, so to speak, that service, is just the phone station count by building, if that was something that you guys wanted to at least take a cursory look at. So, yes, you simply just don't run an operation here that could support financially or technically a bunch of high-capacity lines without having the internal infrastructure.
Right.
So, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, everything that we've been working towards for the last 4 years has been moving towards integrating all 3 buildings together. And we need a dark fiber between those buildings in order for that to happen. And in our last IT meeting, we actually discussed that as part of our long-range plan, and it's not an inexpensive proposition. If a vendor like you can provide that for us, that's something that could make that happen sooner rather than later, and it would make my life a lot better.
No one ever complains about having dark fiber, it's funny. Yeah, no, and one of the things that we do, and we as I mentioned before, once we take a look at the engineering with regards to how to link the buildings, what your tolerances are for either poles or trenching, we go through all that type of stuff, right? Once we engineer this out to make it the most cost effective, then, it's probably a 50-50 split. We have some folks that say, you know what, we just want to write a big check and pay a very small monthly fee for maintenance and breaks and all that other stuff. And then we have other folks who say, I don't want to manage it. Like, I want to put my electronics on the end, I want to light it, and then, basically I'll just pay a monthly fee and we can do 10-year, 20-year, 30-year leases for the network. And we have communities that opt for either one. It's really just the way you choose to budget. And, so.
John, where would the hub be?
The hub, we have, it would make sense to me to bring it into this building.
This building?
And then proceed out from there. If for no other reason, our server room at the sheriff's department, we have climate control, we have fire suppression, and we have access control. That to me is the most logical place to have a server room for the entire county, is right there.
The room for it?
There's plenty of room for it.
The
Which
fiber,
which is something we don't have in any of the other buildings. All I have is small little closets.
the fiber and the associated electronics that you'd install, or that you provide, whatever you do, it's very small footprint and very low. To turn up, 10 gig. You could plug them into an outlet. They run off of 110. There's not a lot of electricity. There's not a lot of draw. Because there's not a lot of electricity or draw, there's really no heat that this equipment produces. Obviously, we provide the telecom services that would hub the telecom services. These are all very, very small footprint items. So you don't need to make a lot of room for our gear. That's for certain.
Not for just your equipment, but when you consider what I'm planning to do with our servers and everything else, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
So we have some special needs. We have special needs in the sheriff's department, and we have special needs in the jail, correct?
From
Special-
a security standpoint, as
Yeah.
far as the,
We have a couple special needs at the nursing home for some security lines that have to be separate, some redundancy. For
Right.
broadband, for most of the telecommunication is fine, but for the elevators and some other things, we're required to have some
All
hardwired
the,
backup.
all
we're
the
aware of
buildings,
that.
yeah, all the buildings would continue to have traditional copper lines for,
That's part of, when we look at the invoices, we'll be able to identify we'll be able to identify what the lines are for. So when we come back and do the analysis and the proposal, it will represent a certain number of copper loop start lines.
Okay.
Because you have to have, you said, your alarms, your elevators, security. Usually everybody wants to have one fax on a loop, so we can, we'll identify those.
Okay, anybody got any questions?
Any other questions?
No?
So just to wind this thing up, David, we need to give you the address of the buildings. The sheriff's office apparently will be the hub. You want to know how many phones we got, and you want us to send you one invoice.
Monthly.
Just an indicative month of all of your services. So you have a variety of providers, just a one, some people won't go overboard, and send me 3 months of their fax lines. So we just want 1 month of every phone and internet bill that you have, so that we can build it into a database, and we can, show you what it will all.
And for this, we're going to get a proposal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Got to ask the question at no charge, right?
What? No, yeah, no charge. No. But
It's
what
an
we will.
important factor around it.
No charge. But you know what, also, John, will you be the point of contact, from a technical standpoint?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what we will do is, you'll send me that information, and I'll start working on that. I will have, our outside plant guys pay a visit up here, and what they'll wanna do is get a lay of the land, look at the building access at all of the facilities, so that we can come up with a logical quote, for you. So we will need to come on site to do that.
Mhm.
I think this, I don't know, I would say maybe take a couple hours out of your day, 3 hours maybe, because everything's right here on the campus, right?
No, take as much time as you need. It's where the county needs to go.
Yeah.
And it'll pay for itself within 2 to 4 years is my best guess.
Mhm.
In cost savings down the road.
Okay.
Dave, any lessons from Stratford County or Rockingham County that we should be looking at? You have both, so if you're doing both of them again, is there anything you do different?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, they both had very different approaches. I would say Stratford County, to be honest with you, is much more similar to Carroll County than Rockingham was. They've been clients of ours for 12 years. And, when they started, they had a nursing home, the county building, which was kind of the same, and then they had the jail, and they had the courthouse building that was under renovations. So they were early. They were surprisingly, they're an interesting group. They were at the time, they were way behind in the times. I mean, way behind in the times. And they didn't really have an IT person, and then they brought an IT person in. And then they leapfrogged. They leapfrogged and did exactly what you're talking about. They bit the bullet. We ran fiber. We lit it up. We lit it up. It was fantastic. It was night and day. So, they
Was
were
that
sort of.
Mr. Smith, Dave?
Yes, it was. Roger was. Yeah,
Roger Smith, because he came up and talked to us one day. And,
Roger came in. I think he was a Cabletroner. He was from Cabletron,
Yes.
and then he left Cabletron, or maybe it was right after Cabletron shut down. That's right. Roger came in, and at that time, you have PRIs. They didn't have anything like that. They had a bunch of analog lines. Nothing really made a whole lot of sense. They had buildings that weren't linked, and his approach was very similar to what you folks were talking about. And he said, I don't know what the future holds, but I know I need fiber between the buildings. I don't need a bunch of, really low-end internet connections. I need one really reliable, dedicated internet connection. At the time, hosted phone systems really hadn't come out yet. It really wasn't a huge product. So he bit the bullet and bought an Avaya, he bought an Avaya system. So, he was you talk about transformational characters in that, speaking specifically to that, and that only, within within 18 months, I mean, it's a totally different building. So that would be how sort of Stratford did it. Rockingham, which still is Frank Stoughton, they had a little bit more IT depth. They've had a lot of IT depth for a long period of time, and those folks, I guess the best way to say it is they're sort of nibbled away at it. I mean, Roger went from the dark ages to cutting edge. Frank just sort of, nibbled away at it, made some improvements, did some phone system upgrades. Just a different approach. I don't think. But if I was looking at Carroll County, from what I hear, and I assume your bills will probably reflect that, you seem to be more like a Stratford County when we first engaged with them.
Okay. We'll get you those three things, and when would you start looking at our system?
So as soon as I get those invoices, I'll start, building the models, identifying what you have for services, so I know what I need to engineer for. I'll have that going. The longest portion of it will just be scheduling with you and getting the guys up here, walk it. They'll come back, engineer it out. And then, once I have that information, then I'll have the models all put together, and then I'll just need to get us the cost from that, and
Okay.
and then we'll have something for you. So 3 weeks, let's say.
No problem.
The driver will be, not you, the driver will be us, frankly, getting time to come up here and do that survey.
Okay. If there's no further questions, thank you very much for.
Okay, one other question I just asked
You
for
do.
you. Do you have any predisposition against setting poles
Against setting poles.
between buildings?
Is it a more logic?
Why wouldn't we go underground?
It's more expensive.
Well, that's something we'd have to take a look at.
Just think about it.
Think about.
Yeah. Trenching is more expensive, per foot for construction, than going overhead.
And there is a middle ground to take you to a point and then dropping.
Oh, it's usually a combination. So in other words, a lot of times, I mean, it's trenching. Trenching's expensive per foot, but then you also, if you're doing driveway cuts and things like that, then then you just want to take care of it. So, for example, I assume with the corrections facility, you probably already have conduit that goes all the way out to the street. So we obviously wouldn't set a pole to bypass that.
So you'd run off the poles off the.
Or we could set poles from here. So in other words, we could come from one building and set a pole and go down. Just something to think about. I don't care one way or the other, but sometimes it can make a difference cost-wise.
Going to the jail, maybe poles, but from here to the nursing home, I would think we'd try to go underground. But
No big
that's
deal.
something that we can look at.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay,
I really
thank
appreciate
you.
you having
Thank you
me
very much
up
for
here.
coming in,
You
too.
bet.
Thank you.
Okay.
John, I'm sorry I didn't get to you in time yesterday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was my intention with the snow coming down, I got up and forgot.
Okay, let's move into Will and House of Corrections in the nursing home. You're here because of, I
But we have-
assume Commissioner Babson?
We're here to discuss the food situation.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the situation? Who wants to start?
Sorry.
You can come up if you want to. Yeah?
That's okay.
All right, go ahead.
Rob approached me due to a lot of scrutiny of the different budgets going on this time of the year about how the lunches for the inmates are being charged. I think, my understanding was, and I think, see what Jason thought is, I thought they were being charged to the jail when they sent their count in, excuse me. But if that's the case, then somehow we had a miscommunication of probably making 2 meals for that amount of money, because he was sending their account in plus making the meals for our guys.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of confusion there, and I went to talk to Jason about it and ran into Commissioner Babson and mentioned it, and thought we should just kind of discuss it all so everybody's on the same page and we could try to get where the charges need to go, just so that way Rob can have accountability for his costs that he has in the kitchen. That's
Okay.
basically.
Okay, so, Jason, where are you coming from on the lunches?
I thought it was,
When they work on the farm, do the farm get charged for the lunch, or do you get charged for lunch?
my impression was that I was always getting paid or getting charged. There, and I forgot to mention this yesterday, but when I used to get the journal entries from when Lisa was doing it, there was the meals were charged to the jail, and then the farm also had meals as well. So I didn't know. I forgot to mention that yesterday, but I don't know where that money comes from, if it comes out of my budget or not. I only just did well, for compensation purposes, on average, I'm spending 18,000 roughly on a month from meals. And I thought out of that 17 or 18,000, that included the meals for the farm. But then again, separately, there is a meals for the farm component, and I didn't add that into the 17 or 18,000. Whatever that amount is, I can't speak to right now.
Well, are we talking about offenders now? We're talking about offenders, not inmates any longer, right? Or employees, or both?
I'd have to look at what the journal entries are. Because Rob breaks it out by offenders and then staff. And I think on the ones for the farm, it says a total meal count and then the number that I can't speak to. I'd have to
Alright.
go pull it up.
Go ahead.
Since I brought him in here,
Yes, you did.
let's see if we can figure out what the problem is. You call up Rob and you order 50 meals.
Right.
45 of them get delivered to the House of Corrections and 5 go to the farm, or however it works out.
Mhm.
Are those meals that go over to the citrus crew, they're already paid for in your account, right?
We order 50
So
meals.
why is there a problem?
Where is the problem?
Because instead, I think they send the 50 meals over, plus we're coming to get an additional 5 meals, so Rob's got 5 meals unaccounted for, if I'm speaking right.
Rob, what do you got to say here?
The cost of the farm meals, I separate it out based on the number of meals that are, taken from the cafe
Yep.
or the kitchen in the old building. And in fiscal year 2013, the cost of the farm meals was $5,594. I started several months ago recalculating the DOC meal charges based on which type of meal I was serving over at DOC. We switched last year to an option for continental breakfast, which I charge at a less cost than a normal hot meal, which saved DOC some money, etc., for those days that they get the continental meals. I was not separating or including in my charge to DOC farm meals. They may have been counted in the past, but with the change in the office from Lisa Howard doing the accounting and purchasing to our
Norma and Sasha.
Yeah, Norma and Sasha, I took on counting the meals and then putting the cost because of the variation in the meal charge, so that they would see exactly what their cost is per day. I was not including the farm meals, and as I was looking at food costs, I was requested about a month and a half ago to double the portions for the farm meals and the offender meals that are going to the farm. So the cost doubled in terms of food costs. So I started doing the accounting of what it's costing me now and projecting it out for fiscal year 2014. In the month of January, the cost for the farm meals alone was $784. In February, so far through the 18th, it's $559. So if I project that out for fiscal year 14, the farm component is at $10,000. So I had contacted Will and said, are you able to absorb that cost as an overhead to the farm? Because when we provide meals to corrections, we get a meal count each meal. We'll call over and say, how many meals do you need at lunch today?
Yeah.
And they'll say 50, 65, et cetera.
Excuse
We
me, right
serve-
there, Rob. Does that figure include the 5 or 6 of the boys that are working out in the farm?
It may not, if they're only asking for who's in the building. If they've
Well, when you give, somebody must know, when you give them a number,
Mhm.
whether it includes the 5 or 10 that are, 5 that are working for Will, or it doesn't. I mean, that's an easy one.
Right.
We call the control room and say, how many meals do you need? And then we'll send that number of meals.
And then we call over every morning and tell them.
And you call.
What's
You
that?
call also?
Yeah, we call every morning and tell them how many. Like, a morning like today, we had to have breakfast because we get the guys out at 5 o'clock to shovel. We don't do breakfast every day, it's just if we have to get them out because of a storm cleanup. But for lunches, we call every day.
And, you know, when I started seeing the breakfast component too, that's adding to the cost. So I had my crew start late last year breaking out what are you providing specifically for the farm so I could have accountability for that cost.
Mhm.
So I guess the junction we were at is where would we put this cost? Because the farm has never had a line item for such a thing. We've never had that.
You have to feed the offenders no matter where they are.
Why doesn't it stay all with the jail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think it
Yeah.
would stay with the
All with
jail.
jail.
And when you give your report or request a number of meals, you include those that
Mhm.
go to the farm, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So everything gets charged to the jail and they give you the figure. You shouldn't have to call them to tell them how many, I don't believe, how many guys you got because it's already included in the jail count. Is that
Right.
right?
Or
Am
we
I
should
wrong?
include it
Right.
now.
Generally, we'll have to, if you call them and tell them that you have 5 people, you'll just have to deduct. If you talk to the control room, you'll just have to deduct however many he says they're out on the farm when you ship them over to me.
But
So-
the jail knows how many people you send out or not, so you must have that count, how many people goes to the farm.
Mhm. But they prepare the meals separately for the farm crew because the offenders don't return to the facility to eat. They stay out working all day. And they eat out in the maintenance shop.
All right, so maybe that's the answer then. You put in the total count
Mhm.
and then you tell him how many you have working and he subtracts that from the total account.
Right.
So that takes care of splitting the meals that goes to the farm, so he knows how many to split out. The rest of it goes to the jail.
So how's that gonna work out in practicality? Somebody's gonna call up from, Rob's gonna call the control room, and the control room's gonna say 60 people.
Control room's gonna
And
call
Willie's gonna call up
Rob.
at some time later in the day and say, of those 60 people, 5 of them are working for me? Isn't that a duplication of effort? Doesn't the control room know how many have gone out?
Sheriff?
Exactly, why can't the control room say that 5 went to the farm when they call in the
Yeah.
60?
Yeah.
And then it's a done deal.
And then, I mean, there's a breakfast component too. I mean, we're providing, you know, like a pretty hefty breakfast as well.
Well, the price of food's a different issue than what we're feeding.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's figuring out the numbers first, and then we wanna make sure you're not being hit for additional food costs. So if we can figure out how many people we're gonna feed, then we can go to figuring out how much we work the costs out. So does that work for you guys?
Mhm.
So Jason, you call dietary, you tell them how many meals you want? Is that the idea, or does dietary call them?
Well, at
Typically.
the point, it's the chef for that day, or that's in charge of that meal will call, because he's allocating the food,
Okay.
into either the cafe,
Okay.
resident meal service, DOC, or farm.
So he'll get an answer, we're gonna have 50 meals here and 3 out, right?
Correct.
That's taken care of. Now let's get down to the cost. What's the
Yeah.
problem
So, I
with
mean,
cost?
what I can do is allocate, on the DOC meal count, meals that went to DOC, farm breakfast, farm lunch, and then give a count based on that particular day and just charge out for, the number of meals served, and you'll see where they're going.
Well, if they're getting a different meal and it's costing you more money, that ought to come out of their budget, not yours.
But he
They,
doesn't.
they may be getting a different meal because they're receiving the meal from the cafe most of the time. DOC isn't always.
Right.
And
Why,
actually, we're making some changes on the DOC menu as well, so
Mhm.
it won't be,
why are they getting it out of the cafe and not out of the regular,
because that's where the employee free meals come from, cafe.
oh,
Okay.
And they're packaged differently and separate and picked up separately at a different time.
okay.
So when you pick up a meal, are we talking about meals for just for the inmates or the staff and the
Everybody.
inmates?
Everybody.
Everybody. Okay. So how do we make sure that Jason absorbs the cost and not Rob?
Well,
I mean, I have the spreadsheet, Jason and I go over that spreadsheet, now that we're, doing it the revised way.
Mhm.
We can look at it. I mean, it's easier for me to separate, the farm crew and offender meals separate from what I'm sending to DOC, just because it's a separate process.
everybody understand the situation now? We all in agreement what's going on here, or what? I
So
guess that's,
we're gonna still just do the same process we're doing, and then Rob will just add it differently? Is that what I'm getting in conclusion? Because I'm lost of what I'm supposed to do. Am I supposed to still call for my meals every day or not? I guess is my question.
No, we'll take in, when we give the count, we'll just say how many are out and
Yeah.
out on the work crew.
Okay.
What
you don't have to
What
call.
happens in the morning for a breakfast situation, like this morning, for example, where we get the guys at 5? Do you guys call over there at 5 in the morning or whatever?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, they call before every meal.
okay.
Yeah.
so does that mean when my guys are here, so now we're just talking inmate meals, does that mean if my guys are here, they don't get a breakfast sandwich in the morning when they've been here at 3 in the morning? Because he's talking about both on that. I mean, we call up and we say 5 guys, and 2 of them might be staff and 3 inmates or whatever.
Well, I think on our end, we'll take care of the offender stuff. If you have your employees, just call for your employees. We'll
Yeah.
take care of all the offender stuff.
Which is not a problem, I just gotta have a line, I don't have any money, a discussion like this, I think would normally come in October and November, so we could create something like that,
And it ought to go on to maintenance and not the farm,
for the majority of it, yes.
the meals. If you're gonna provide meal, you're gonna pay for meals to the nursing home for.
'Cause I don't have a problem, I just gotta be able to create a line, be given money and
Right.
create a line for it.
All right, Sheriff.
I guess not to offend anyone, but I thought we did away with the free meal system. Just saying.
The special circumstance, I think that was my understanding for the farm, to answer that question, is we have the offenders from the time we take them out to the time we take them back. We can't have, my guys don't get a lunch hour, they can't go anywhere because they have to directly supervise the inmates
Right.
at all times
And that was the same with the staff at the jail.
at the jail. So that's what I was under the understanding of, that's why, to answer that question.
You can lock them in the car and take the keys and go into
Well, I
McDonald's.
mean, I don't have to agree with it, if that's the commissioner's feeling.
All right. Where are we on the cost of the meals? When,
Well, the
just a personal thing. when I get a cup of soup over there, they tell me it's 83 cents. Why not make it $1?
Well, it's 75.
I think it's 75
you know,
cents,
plus
yeah.
the 9% tax.
And the tax comes in.
Well, then make it 91 cents so that you pay the buck and you get your tax too.
They're very, very, very reasonable over there. You need to increase your prices to make up for the food cost. And I think that's one place that you can.
I think
I mean, for-
75 cents.
We have increased prices this year.
For $3 for a sub, you can't go any place to get a sub, especially the one that you guys make over there for $3.
Well, again, we're trying to make sure that it's a reasonable cost so that I can entice employees that are receiving a free meal to buy a meal. And, you know, we've been fairly successful in that area. And then providing that as a benefit to the staff that do not have a free meal privilege so that they, you know, there's not a lot in this area that they have to choose from in terms of.
Let me ask you a question. If we did away with all the free meals, could Cafe handle it?
Oh, sure, absolutely, because we're
You're already
serving the
doing
meals
it.
now, you know,
It's already doing it.
But I mean, all the employees.
well, we are
Yeah.
right now. You know, I'm serving, you know, about 100 free meals a day for.
Through the cafe?
Mhm.
Huh, okay.
In addition to that, you know, we're taking in, you know, sometimes 200, 250 a day in meal revenue.
Okay. Okay. So are we squared away? You want to know more, you want to raise your prices to the jail?
Well, all I
For the food
want
that
is-
you're sending over there?
What I need to do, you know, I want to make sure that I account for where the food cost is going, that's all, so that I make sure that you have a clear picture, you know, of what the, you know, food service cost is.
Yeah,
So this started becoming a significant cost when we started doubling portions, and then there were 2 meals per offender or employee, and I just start projecting it out. You know, we deal in, you know, nickels and dimes in food service, but they certainly add up. And when I started seeing that essentially what was $5,500 last year is over $10,000 this year, you know, there's a significant change in the program.
was the $5,000 wrong, too low, the first year?
Well, we were portioning, you know, the meals as we do the free meals in the nursing home, but
Mhm.
it wasn't sufficient, you know, for the crew that's, you know, working, you know, doing a lot of labor.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that if you're basing off of January and February to project what your 2014 is gonna be, you're gonna see a lot more breakfasts in January and February because of bringing out guys. Then you're gonna see, you know, as soon as we start getting snowstorms, we don't bring guys out for breakfast, and that could skew your numbers a little bit too. I don't know if you're accounting those in proportionate to the whole year, because it won't be proportionate. This is kind of high time for breakfast.
Where are we? I mean, are we all set? Everybody's in agreement?
Everybody got it?
What's going on? Or not?
Well,
Now's the time to bring it
if I
up.
understand it, then I'll take, you know, what I've been accounting separately for farm and offender meals that are taken separately and add it to the spreadsheet for VOC.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah. And I think you ought to increase the cost, the charges for the cafe meals. I know you increased it a little bit. I think you ought to take another look at it.
The amount of soup you get there for 82 cents is nuts.
25.
A, it's
Again,
good, and B, it's low price.
I mean, it's production, you know, it's revenue that we weren't receiving before, so, you know,
Well, let's get a little more.
we reworked.
I mean,
but I can certainly increase prices.
I mean, yeah, I go in and I watch a lot of the people. We pay $1 for the soup and we put the change in the money pot. And, why not have that go to the cafeteria and charge 91 cents and not
Pay a
pay for
buck.
tax?
Well, again, you know, I'm serving most of my customers are receiving a free meal. So again, I'm trying to say, you're getting a free meal, but why don't you buy something too? So I just try to keep the cost, reasonable so that they will, in fact, purchase something to offset my overhead.
Okay, I would just suggest that you take a look at the pricing of the cafe meals. All right, are we all
set?
all set then?
Not about this issue, but was there a few minutes in my thing to
Sure.
report this week?
Yeah.
Because I had a couple of quick things.
You're coming back for non-public? Is
Yeah.
that still on the agenda, right? Okay. Almost there. Does the nursing home have any other things they want to discuss?
Just two brief things. I wanted to actually give you some additional information from what you received on Monday at the delegation meeting. And at some point, to be able to talk with you about how you want to go ahead with those initiatives that were talked about. And I want to thank you for having been at the meeting, because I think that was very, very important in terms of the strategic planning portion. But the same information you got then, and some additional information.
You got a brother in the paper business, Howie?
Well, no, in the ink business.
It's big print, anyway, right?
Yeah.
The only thing worse than too much communication is too little communication. The other thing that I have is, we talked a couple weeks ago about a funeral bill. We've since received that bill, and it is in the amount of $1,898. This is for a...
Total? That's the total cost?
That's the total cost to Lord Funeral Home. There would be additional costs if we chose to, in terms of cemetery and transportation, but deferring action on that, I think we have a local option for that in any case.
Yeah.
How much
I'd
was
recommend,
it?
Brian Lord was very, very good about handling a situation that was dumped on him by another funeral director. And he's been very gracious. In terms of payment, I'd recommend that that you consider utilizing the Doobie Fund as a source for this charitable endeavor, because it really is charity at its highest. We have taken, this was a resident who had been here some 5 years before. We've since changed policies, so this isn't something that's likely to happen, but a couple times more.
Yeah,
So it's not the tip of an iceberg type of thing.
okay.
And what was the amount again?
The amount was $1,898 even.
Oh, okay.
You have no other place in your budget to take it from?
No, we've never, this is the first time in anybody's recollection that there's been a completely unfunded funeral or
For the rest of you, we're talking about a resident in a nursing home that didn't pay his funeral costs, and he has not a cent. So we're having to pick up that cost. What's a comment from the board? How do you feel about taking it out of the Doobie Fund?
I'm in favor. I agree with Howard Chandler, taking it out of the Doobie Fund.
Okay. Commissioner Babson?
I don't.
Where do you think it should come
I
from?
can't believe in a $12 million budget that we can't find somehow enough money to pay this one-time expense. Has anybody called Manchester, where he lived most of his life, and see if there's any church that he went to or anything that they might kick in a few bucks?
No, in fact, the church is actually being somewhat of a problem. The church owns the cemetery, and they're looking for $510 just if we use that cemetery plot that he owns, just to open it for a cremation urn.
Yeah.
And they're requiring a $255 special cremation urn to boot that has to be sealed.
So why don't we tell him he's not coming?
Yeah.
Tell him land values have gone up and we want more money, then that he paid up front to begin with, and see if we seriously see if we can't get some. If he paid for that spot and not gonna use it, we can't get reimbursed if we have to pay
The
for the
family, it's a
expenses.
family.
It's a family spot, it's a
Yeah.
family lot, so
Oh.
they won't split that up.
And he's the last one in the family.
He has no surviving, he has no family at all, so he is the last of the family.
Are they collecting in perpetuity for that lot?
That I have no idea. I know we have no knowledge of him making any payments to that.
They would do that whether he was there or not, for the family. We gotta come up with a cost. Take another look at your budget, see if we can't get it out of your budget.
There's
The
no-
Doobie Fund, and I, is really for, and I know you've told me that there's no restrictions on it,
Yeah,
no
that's
limitations, but that was a benefit of all residents. I mean, if it was a television or something in the dining room, well, that would benefit all the residents, something that could be used for, but for this type of thing, I don't see how it benefits the residents. Anyway, take another look at your budget.
No, we'll can certainly do
Coming out of
that.
there somewhere.
And can we do anything creative? Can we have a raffle that might raise some money, or an event that might raise some money and pay for it?
It conjures up some interesting kind of raffle tickets.
All right.
The idea of our having at some point, some kind of a discretionary account for unforeseen circumstances is, to assist those that have absolutely nothing would be a good thing.
That makes sense.
But when we accept residents into the nursing home, don't we check to see if they've paid their funeral expenses?
We do now. But 5 years ago, apparently, there might have been some misunderstanding because he had very elaborate funeral arrangements made with a funeral home. And there was a presumption, and probably a reasonable one at the time, that given those arrangements, that they were also paid. But they weren't.
But they weren't.
Do you know that for a fact?
Do.
Was he alert enough that he could tell you that he never paid?
He did. In fact, he subsequently said that, and that was also confirmed by Brian Lord with the Smart Funeral Home in Franklin was the funeral home that held the arrangements, but were not prepaid.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else here, Howie?
That is all that I have for you.
All right, well, we'll take and look through your catalog here. These are recommendations that you're making as a result of the subcommittee.
Exactly, and they're not specific. They're the same general ones, but at some point, we should probably reserve some time so I can get a sense from you all if it's something that on reflection you do want to go ahead with, and to what level and when.
Okay. In order to raise the bed rate, what's required, a month? Notice?
Well, actually, none, because if we're talking about raising the rate for future people.
That's right, future
there-
people.
We just need to make that known. Not recommending raising the rate on an interim basis for anybody who's presently there.
But they did talk about, 2% or 2.5% for current.
And that's about what we did last year as part of this budget, and it was effective January 1st.
Okay.
You actually went up on the private
All right.
rate. I think it was about $15.
Okay. You all set?
All
Anything
set.
else?
I just have a comment, just go back to the Doobie Fund. It was my understanding that it was just money left for the nursing home. Like you said, there was no any restriction. I think that Commissioner Sorensen has added that it needs to benefit all the residents, but that was not my understanding.
No, it's for the commissioners to decide. And I think there's been a general understanding from those, and I'm actually one of those that knew Edna and Ralph Doobie, that would be consistent with what they would have wanted. Edna was very dedicated to residents. She was a retired nurse.
everybody thought, and I knew Ralph too, that they weren't looking for it primarily for construction, that it was the understanding, but not the written expressed wishes. That's unrestricted legally. But the understanding was to benefit residents, but that's a very broad and general interpretation that the three of you need to, decide what's most fitting.
There was no documentation that came with the money?
No, it was very specific in terms of the actual trust document, leaves it unrestricted. And knowing Ralph, that's the only proper way to do it. So yeah, I'm sure he did not want to tie the hands of Mountain View in the future, to use it as and which is really the commissioners would decide in the best interest.
Okay. We'll take it under advisement. We'll discuss it some more later. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Anything else you got?
That's it.
All right. You guys are excused and we can get on with it.
I thought that Will had something. Will had something on it.
All right, Will, go ahead.
Said a couple quick things.
Thank you.
Obviously, the top one, we'll need to spend a lot of time. We've had a lot of snow, doing a lot of plowing and bucketing back. Running short on room, it seems, to bucket this stuff. But the three things that I really wanted to talk about was we're in the process of looking at getting a grant for a hoop house through
Cooperative Extension?
yeah, it's part of it. It's a two-part grant, basically. Part of it will be Joan Richards, the agency she works for up there.
Yeah.
Slipping my mind at the time, but she's commented how you've asked about looking for the county farm to be able to try to get a grant, which has been hard, but she found an avenue this year to try to get that. So her grant would basically get the hoop house, and then Olivia's got a grant that was given to her program to do things to help benefit the agricultural program. And what she would like to do is kind of outfit it with different bells and whistles so that she could do a lot of classes in there and show growers in the northern part of the state what you can have and do and the advantages it'll have. So they're working on it. Nothing's been approved or anything yet, but I wanted to run it by the commissioners to make sure that the commissioners are open to getting this. The startup costs obviously are going to be by the grants, but these hoop houses, after 4 or 5 years, you have to replace the plastic on them, and you do have some maintenance down the road as they go. But one of our biggest problems that I've heard the delegation talking about is extending our growing season to offer stuff to the nursing home and the jail. Yep. We've been putting together with Jason and Rob. Jason's got a food committee over there that we've been working with also, and we're really looking to do a lot different things this year and ramp up a lot of our production and preservation methods to try to help put a little dent into some of the costs. And this will just be a tool that can help extend that and do that. So I don't know that there's, I don't know if you have to, we haven't received a grant or anything yet. I don't know if you have to vote on that, but I just want to be aware that this was up and coming, and if it's a decision you guys need to make in the future, or if you need to make it now, I don't know. But
any grants we're responsible for, and
Right.
we approve, and actually do the signing of the grants.
Yep.
So if that comes up, you have applications or whatever, then it needs to come back to us.
Right.
I have no problems with the hoop house. I think it's a great idea. If we can extend the season so that.
Get two.
Huh?
Get two. See if we can get another one.
Let's try one first and see how it goes.
Right. My idea is that growing in these is also going to be a learning experience for me. Olivia is very knowledgeable and has done it for a long time, and so I'm going to be working closely with her on learning about growing in them. The other advantage it's going to have for us, hopefully, is that we can start our own plants in it, so we don't have to buy our started plants. The method I've been doing in the shop just hasn't, I get them to germinate, but the hardening off process, I've just been struggling with it out there, and versus having this will hopefully make that process go a little easier. But
You want to petition off the hoop house so that you're only heating a portion of it
exactly.
when you got the
Yep.
plus lighting.
Right.
Go ahead.
David, that 91A request we got from Mrs. Katie, the last sentence said something about, don't forget that the commissioners have to accept the grant if it's more than $5,000. I always thought if it was a grant, it had to be accepted by the commissioners no matter what amount of money.
That's what I thought too.
So maybe we better check that and see if she's right, see if it's just over $5,000. My second question is, why would we accept the grant if the grant gonna go to the farm? It's gonna go to the cooperative extension and it's gonna go to,
This one's gonna go to the farm, I believe.
oh, okay, then we'd have to.
Because there was another route that we were looking at of Olivia accepting a grant, but she would have, the cooperative extension would have to take ownership of it. But the way this one is being able to be given out, the farm will actually have ownership of it.
It's given out to all the farmers are apparently eligible through, it's not Soil Conservation Service now, but.
Equal.
It's
Something
what?
about most of the time, because we're a government, we
Whatever that
don't
is,
qualify
stands
or
for.
something, but,
Okay, I know what you're talking about, that group.
Yep.
The next thing on the list is that, so far I've received checks in the amount of $8,464.55 off of our log cut that we had done up here.
Yeah.
So, if memory lane serves me right, we were estimated to get around $5,000 of profit when we signed that contract,
But we
along with
didn't, but we didn't get all our firewood.
Exactly, along with some certain amount of firewood. We got shorted on the amount of firewood, but we've also gotten almost $3,500 more than what we were expecting. So it is what it is, that's what we got. As it is right now, my suggestion is, and I don't know that if we can do this, or if we have to go to the delegation, but why wouldn't we take that $8,400 and put it on our processor? We're making payments on that, we're paying $1,000 a year in interest. That would almost take an extra year's worth of payments off of our processor. So I'm just putting that out there, that I think that would be a good idea to do. Who has, I don't know if I need to bring it up at the subcommittee and they need to bring it to the delegation, or.
We'll take care of it.
Okay.
Well, how about splitting it and buying some more log lengths, because we're probably gonna need that before.
Well,
And I know we had some money left over from last year. If you didn't use it all up, how about splitting that and making a partial payment on the processor and buying more wood?
to answer that question, we have the money left over that the commissioners approved that I'm going to be spending to buy the wood. Also, we're putting a little extension cut on this due to the sheriff's department's radar, their telecommunications, whatever, off this building up to the hill was blocked by some trees, and we had to go in there and remove some trees. There's more that need to be removed. So Wendy's working on a small little area to get Day to come back in to remove those trees to help the sheriff's department with on that, and she just figures on that we're going to be able to get an extra, we're about 5 loads short. She's going to get about 2 loads there, and the money we have left over will get us the other 3 loads. So we'll be able to get 175 without having to spend that money.
Okay.
And,
How did the job end up that they did? Was it acceptable? Did they do a good job?
I think, as far as I've heard, yes. Personally, I haven't been up there. Wendy gathered the slips from me earlier this week. I've been collecting them for her, and she was going to go back and tally everything up and see how everything went with that compared to her numbers and whatnot. So I haven't heard back from her. I think it was Monday night I gave those to her. So she's working on that to give us more of a report on how it went. And then I've also been encouraging her to start looking at her plans with this spring to start marking the next section of timber to be cut. So we could bid that this summer, and then hopefully again next fall, next winter, be cutting that next section.
Well, one thing we haven't done is we haven't put the $12,000 in there for a used 1-ton dump truck.
Right. Friday we have the subcommittee.
This Friday?
This Friday we have a subcommittee meeting. And I thought that since they asked last time to get an amount from the commissioners, that we would tell them this time that was the amount that the commissioners voted on.
I think 12,000.
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
And then the last thing that I've been talking a little bit about, something we're trying to work on, is a livestock marketing program. It'd be a livestock club, and it's going to be for marketing. So the general idea right now is to start off with the kids is three animals categories, and the reason why I picked those is because they'd be the cheapest to take care of, and then also potentially the biggest profit for the kids, which would be a turkey, a lamb, or a pig. And they would raise the animal, and they would market the animal, learn about it and all that, have an auction at the end of the season to sell their animal. And what we're looking at doing is possibly petitioning the commissioners for the summertime, that for kids that are local that don't have an area to raise their animal in, that they could have it here possibly. They're looking at, the 4-H is looking at loaning them the money to get the project started if they don't have the funds, and then when they sell the animal, they'll pay back their loan, so they're learning more about just the animals. They're also learning about loans and taking care of stuff. I did a very similar project like this when I was growing up in 4-H, and there doesn't seem to be that in Carroll County, and we're losing a lot of livestock. There's very few families now that are doing it here in Carroll County, and I would just like to see that hopefully come back, and I think that we have the resources to help. I'm currently I have an interview coming up. I've had all my people that they're asking about, contacts of how good of a person I am, I guess. References, thank you, it's early morning this morning. References on, so I can be screened as a leader, a 4-H leader. This will be something that I'm doing on my own and after work, but if the program works out good and everything, we get the kids, it'll be something that we'll be possibly petitioning for summertime to keep these animals here for the kids.
But this marketing program is done by Cooperative Extension, right?
Yes.
It's not being done by our farm.
No, it's done
You're
by the
just-
Cooperative Extension.
Okay.
The only thing the farm will be providing is from the permission of the commissioners, is to be able to keep the animals here. I'll be volunteering my time after work to work with these kids and with the fairs and such, and teaching them not only about marketing as far as going out and getting bidders to come to the auction, but also the showmanship of the animals and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Okay.
So that's just something that's in the future that we're looking at, and I just wanted to update the commissioners on that.
Very good. Anybody got any questions? No question? Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will.
Okay. Training for House of Corrections. I assume that we are talking about the training that was supposed to be, contract supposed to be signed by the 1st of February to get a good deal on the training. And because we didn't get the unanimous decision of the board to go forward with it, because it was over 5,000, that you're back again with a proposal.
The RFP went out. Before I get to that, do you want me to just give you my quick
Go ahead.
numbers? We had 49 in this morning, 3 out on a monitor, 9 transfers, total population of 61. We took in 18 offenders last week, 10 were repeaters, and released 17 of those. The RFP process went...
How many, 6 repeaters?
10, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Out of 17?
Out of 10 out of 18. 17 were released.
Too high. Gotta do something about it.
The RFP process, we did the RFP, we sent it out, we advertised, and when it's all said and done, lost about $27,740, $27,777.40 in savings.
What do you mean we lost it?
Well, what happened was, we had to pay for the advertising,
That was how much?
about $900.
$900 for the advertising.
Sergeant Baker had to go back and redo this, so his time, that cost the county an additional $306. We lost the 15 free slots, so any other county agency is not gonna be able to participate in this at all. We lost the law enforcement package, which is a $1,500 package. The initial year, so the first year, we lost $5,174.60, and over the term of the contract, that's your $27,777.40.
And we are required by law to have this training? Do we need this training?
Yes, we're under Hampshire Association of Counties rules. We're required to do 32 hours of training to maintain certification.
That's the county association training rules, she said.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Jason, one more time, what was the bottom cost of this?
What do you mean by the bottom cost?
What we lost.
What we lost?
Over the course of the,
As a result of the board not voting unanimously,
right,
it cost us what?
over the term of the contract, I'll give you.
How long
that
is the term?
7 years.
Oh, so 7 years,
Yeah.
okay.
Um,
A contract for 7 years? Not going out to bid. Do you say that only 3 companies are providing this training? Is that correct?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
3 companies only providing this training, you said?
Correct. And we sent it to the 3 different companies that we researched, and the Relias training was the only one that responded. The other 2 didn't even respond.
Reliance.
So what did it cost us, Jason, 27,000?
Am I saying that right?
Yes, with the 15 spots that we're not getting for free that we would have to pay for, we lost, it turned out, with the 15 free slots, every year, those 15 spots would have been about $1,800 that we lost out on, that are gone. We can't get it back. I tried contacting them, their boss wouldn't let them do it. So over a total of 7 years, with that $1,800 lost, that's where that $2,700 of free money that is gone.
2,700 or
$27,000 over 7 years
Right.
that we missed out on grasping for free by not signing what we could have.
That's good business.
And how much is it a year? The 7 years, how much is the contract for 1 year?
Contract every year is gonna be $4,800 every
Okay.
year, annually. And that's with 40 spots. We had to increase by 5 spots because we were hoping that we'd get a couple spots for free, but we didn't.
So-
And to incorporate our 2 possibly new staff members and our medical staff that we can provide training with, we had to increase from 35 to 40.
So
spots.
4,800 is for 40 spots,
For
correct?
40 spots, yes, ma'am.
And you were looking for free spots, you said?
We were hoping that the 15 spots that we lost out on by not signing the contract last month.
So they were giving 15 free spots, that is what they say? So that
No,
we
ma'am,
sign the
we lost
contract?
out on 15 free spots by not signing.
Okay, so they were giving 15 free spots if you sign up. Is that
If we did
correct?
sign up,
Okay,
that we did not.
have signed, okay.
What it cost us to advertise?
$900.
Where did you advertise?
We advertised in the Concord Monitor, the Union Leader, and on the web. And then plus we sent it out to the 3 different companies that we contacted prior to the initial package being proposed.
And we only got 1 response.
Correct.
And it was a response that we had originally.
Correct.
So basically, if you don't consider the 7 years or 15 slots, just $900 it costs us because we wouldn't vote unanimously to accept that training program. $900 just to advertise. So that goes to the taxpayers as to why we did not accept that bid. Okay?
Well, there is a lot of RFP we're putting out and we're paying for it. We pay advertisement for it. Do you have all this in counter, what we're putting out? Or are you now talking only about we need to do everything by unanimous vote?
No,
I
I'm
mean, we
saying-
already put a lot of RFP out, what we paid for, advertisement. We always pay for a lot of advertisements.
What I'm
But we don't
saying,
lose $27,000 to go along with it.
Well, that is if we had 15 spots, I have to check into that. I mean, that is to say if we get a spots free, I don't even know if we get a spots free or not.
That was
They
in the
just
original
counted the
contract.
free spots.
That was in the piece of paper that we had when 2 of us voted yes and 1 voted no. It was in the paper we had about the spots,
Yep, it's fine, I will call them.
okay?
That is,
still, I want to make it clear to those people that are listening that the House of Correction Superintendent sent out to 3 different companies to get proposals for the training program. We got one back. Or did we get two back originally?
No, sir, we got one back. I did the research with all these companies myself. Obviously, the original proposal got denied, so I recontacted them with the RFP.
Yep.
And Relias was the only company that stayed in contact with me throughout that 2-week process.
But the original one that you solicited in the beginning, there were 3 different companies,
Correct, sir.
and 2 of them didn't respond?
Not with the RFP. 2 of them did not respond.
Okay.
And in the beginning, we did the research.
They didn't respond.
They didn't respond either before when we did the research. This was the only company that's out there that does this specifically for corrections, and it's in AJA magazine and everything else. So we did the research ahead of time.
Right, okay, okay. So, cost us a lot of dollars to the taxpayers because we didn't accept their proposals.
So we're still here today to ask about getting this contract signed before Friday to lock in what we got now or lose some more money.
Jason, you don't have an extra copy?
That's the only copy I brought over. If you guys would like to review it.
And this is for $4,800? Or
Yes.
what is this for?
Sorry. That's the $4,800. We are still saving $1,250, $1,250 on a startup fee that will go away if we don't sign by Friday. We are still saving $3.41 per unit as of right now. And we'll still have a $48,450 cost saving over the next 7 years if we sign now.
I don't know why there's so much pressure on us that everything we have to sign immediately and so immediately.
Are we
So
signing a
did you
one-year
put it
contract or
out, so you
7-year
put it out to
contract?
bid?
We're signing
Did we
a
get any?
7-year contract with
No
a
responses.
No
escape
responses?
clause. If we're
I'm gonna
unhappy
call
with the
them.
program, and we tell them what we're unhappy with, they'll have 30 days to fix what we're unhappy with. If they're unable to fix what we're unhappy with, then we'll be able to opt out of the contract.
And
As
how
you
long,
asked before.
how long was it out for the RFP for
2
bid?
weeks.
And you have no responses, you said?
Correct. And this all make clear, because we talked about mandatory training. What this would do is supplement our training that we have to do mandatory, so they wouldn't have to, we wouldn't have to pay any overtime for them to come in and do the training, do it on shift.
Mhm.
And what time they have to come in is for their specific hands-on. That's why we were looking forward to reduce our overtime costs and increase our education, stuff that we actually have to have done. That's why we went after looking for a company that could help us out initially to reduce our costs, forward thinking.
Right. Is there a clause in here that we can terminate the contract within 30 days or 90 days?
Yes, sir, it's gonna be it's gonna be in the termination clause. I believe it's gonna be page 4 or 5 of the contract.
Yeah, it says, keep going, it says termination clause, and I think it's on the left-hand side.
Bottom left on
Bottom
page
left.
4, I believe, 4 or 5.
Why does it say on the bottom here, pricing expires if not executed by 3/20? And we're talking about, right,
Then it goes to the next contract, our first initial one. We worked with them back and forth to try to get this down, and Sergeant Baker kept bringing it back to me, and I kept bringing it back to sharpen his pencil, and work with them. And they got us a good deal, and then that initial deal went away. This is the next best deal, and because their fiscal year and budget and everything else, so they've been trying back and forth. If we can't get this one signed, it'll just go to the next contract.
yeah, but Jason, why does it say expires if not executed by 3/20?
That's when that's when the website will be up and running and will be good to go at that point.
Okay.
If it's not up by that point, that means that's null and void by
By them.
both they're
Two of us.
they're unable to do our needs.
David, can't we give that to the county attorney to look at for a day?
When's the
We're not
deadline?
lawyers.
When was the deadline?
Friday.
That's Friday,
This Friday?
yeah.
Yes, we can.
Why don't we
Yes,
do
so
that?
they have a 30-day notification.
That's for termination if we sign it.
Yeah.
So the training for 7 years is 33,600. I find it a little bit strange, and if you're not signed immediately, we're losing 27,777. It's a little strange.
You got a question?
The total cost of the training is $33,000, but we're losing $27,000.
Do you have a question of them?
No, just make my
Or
comment.
is that just a point that
No,
you're trying
just
to
make my comment.
Well, out of that $27,000, Commissioner, that was 15 free licenses that we were gonna have over the life of the contract. So if you factor the cost of the
Is it-
licenses in on top of the $33,000 that you just mentioned, you'd have to add that into the cost.
Plus the
If
law
that makes
enforcement
sense.
package that we lost out on as well, too.
Right.
And what we're asking to encourage is, it's going to be savings for us. If we don't do it, and that's the commissioner's will, we don't do it, then it'll be status quo what we're doing. They have to come in on overtime to get this training done, which will cost you the amount that we said in the bottom. And if we do this, we can cut our costs for our training that we have to do.
It's already not in this year's budget,
And,
right?
and the other county is doing it then? Was it Stratford County, you said?
Sullivan is doing it. I believe Stratford is, and Merrimack is moving in that direction.
So Sullivan and Stratford.
Mhm.
What are the other counties doing? The rest, because, we have 10 counties and only 2 are doing it,
Mhm.
Sullivan and Stratford. So, did you look in what the other counties are doing?
The other counties build in their schedule build in training days on their schedule, but they also have a lot more staff that they can use to cover the positions.
And I can speak for Merrimack, that's what they did, they built it in, it's their 8-hour shifts, they built it in. But the classes are way too large now, so that's why they're going to this also training, it's gonna save them money. Instead of having all those classes, like 30, 40 people in a class, that's why they're moving towards that as well too.
So they did not implement it yet, they're moving toward.
They're in their budget, they're buying it,
Uh,
and the other 2 counties already have it. I talked to Sullivan County, or their trained corporal, and they like it. Because you can add in your own PowerPoints. Not only is it expanded to the 400 classes they have, anything Sergeant Baker or we have or anybody else, you can drop into this program. So we can expand it ourselves, anything that we're already doing.
Mhm.
And our hands-on training, the class portion can already be done. Now all I gotta do is come in and do the hands-on training so we can increase that, the hands-on, whether it be OC spray, taser, use of force class, anything that we need. You can actually get into a little deeper, prerequisites already done.
Okay. Question, why would you want to have what's the reason for having the county attorney look at the contract?
Just to make sure that it's properly, if we sign it, that we're not signing away our lives. And I shouldn't think it would take more than an hour or 2 for her to look at it. She'll do it. If she won't, then we have to move ahead without it.
All right.
So
You take it to her and see if she will review it, and
you want to,
subject to
make
her,
it this,
subject to her approval,
yes.
we will approve of the contract.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second it.
Do I hear any further discussion? Too bad we didn't do it a month ago. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. I didn't,
What?
did you vote, or
For
didn't
what?
you? Are you paying attention to what we're doing?
Yeah, I'm paying attention.
He just made a
So-
motion, I just seconded it.
For what, for the contract? I
For the
oppose.
You're what?
Oppose.
You're opposed, okay? Then so voted. You check it out with her and then we'll sign it, okay? What else you got?
That's all I have, Commissioner.
Well, before you go, without disclosing the nature of this thing with the patient, the inmate, does this fall under 91A?
I would soon think so.
Is it a security issue?
It's.
Not
I
a security
would say
issue,
it's
but
a-
it could cause some very hard feelings and some accusations if it would made public. To me, it should be non-public.
I think it would be a HIPAA issue.
Pardon me?
A HIPAA issue.
Does it affect would it affect their reputation?
If our suspicions were proven to be correct, it probably would, but if it doesn't, it won't.
What I can do, Commissioner, I can look into that for you, and I can report back out.
You find out whether it's non-public or not?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we do that?
Yep.
I'm not aware of what you're talking about.
Yes, you
so-
are, I think.
I am.
I think you saw the letter. Put it on your desk.
Oh, right, okay, yep. Is this common procedure for us to get a bill from Stratford County Corrections to pay for a hospital bill in their county?
Yeah. Yep.
Why
I'll
wouldn't we
look
pay
at what I'll
direct to
do
the
is-
hospital?
What's that?
Why wouldn't we pay direct to the hospital?
Well, what would happen is the mail would go right to that facility, and then they would turn around and generate a letterhead like what was happening, and then they would send it up to us for payment.
Was this person under the supervision of Stratford County?
But he was our offender.
Excuse me?
He was our offender. We did an admin transfer for down there.
So he was in, or she was in the Stratford County Jail?
Correct.
And then went to the hospital?
Correct.
So that's why they're billing us?
Correct.
Okay, I got you.
And vice versa, if we send somebody somewhere, they bill us.
Yep, okay.
I'll look.
No,
I'll look
you
into
got
that.
it backwards.
Or we bill them.
We bill them.
Right.
You
Yeah.
don't want to go in both ways.
Sure we do.
So what do we want to do with that? We want to,
You wanted to find out whether it's non-public, and then we can discuss what you've left not disclosed.
Yep.
okay. Anything else?
No, Commissioner. I'm all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I want to come over and see the wall paintings. I got my camera today, so
Okay.
I'm hoping to get over there before noontime.
You get non-public too.
I do.
So I did go over last week, and I saw the paintings, and it's very impressive.
It's
Very
finished
good,
now.
very creative, yes.
I can show you a picture on my phone before I go, though.
Oh,
It's
okay.
finished with the, both sides are done now.
Oh, okay.
It's all finished.
Really nice. He did really a good job.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, why don't we go into non-public now and do our work section?
Yep.
Second, so the boys don't have to sit around while we go.
make a motion to go into non-public for House of Corrections,
I'll make a motion that we go. Are you making it?
RSA 91A3, paragraph 2C. You second it?
I'll second it.
All those in favor of going into non-public, say aye.
All right?
Aye.
We're in non-public. We'll take just a few minutes for the cameraman to shut off his machine, and we'll start in. Okay, we're back
We
in,
said something?
we're back in public session. We moved by roll call to seal the minutes of the non-public session. Now, our next area was work session, but you got another
I
question?
got a question for Commissioner Kennedy. Commissioner Kennedy, we each got our responsibilities there. I have the farm and the jail.
Yeah,
David has a nursing home.
yeah.
You have the sheriff's
Sheriff,
department.
yeah.
Why, when the sheriff's department was having a subcommittee
Yeah.
meeting, did you come over to the nursing home?
Why didn't you go to the?
Why didn't you go to the sheriff's meeting?
Yeah, I know. I missed that sheriff's subcommittee meeting, so I went to the second one because it was so close. I believe one was like 9 and one was like 9:30.
Yeah, but we left at 9:30 and they were still well underway.
Still going
Yeah,
on?
okay, so I went to the nursing home. Oh, okay, I didn't know about that, how long they were there. But I believe Mr. at Comeau was there, so I can maybe check it out if he taped it. I'm not sure.
I
Did
think
you
it's
tape it?
important that we try to be at subcommittee meetings that we're responsible for, okay?
Yep. But listen, before he already came to talk to us, already asked him the question if there's something, I'm going to the sheriff's department. We already went through the budget with him. We already talked about the several items.
always-
He's just going with a subcommittee.
There's always a
now.
possibility of things coming up in a subcommittee that was not discussed before. And one of those items, I understand, I wasn't there, but what I heard was that they were going to look at the possibility of the cruisers remaining here in the parking lot versus taking them home.
Oh,
And
that's
it'd be
a good-
nice to know what took place,
Oh, that's a good idea.
okay? All right, on the
Mr.
work session.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like the first thing to do is to bring up the audit.
Okay. The audit
As
of
you know,
2011,
2011 and 2012.
okay.
As you know, when the new regulations, we have to have a financial statement put in order, and then it goes for a financial audit. The financial audit that we gave to Mr. Bilodeau, he's been unable to complete it because he can't get the information from the individual that's supposed to supply him the financial statement. He's been made promises and they haven't been kept because the individual's, I guess, apparently sick or very sick. And so he's been unable to finish the financial audit. He's got most of 2011 done, as I understand, but he can't do anything for 12 because he can't finish 11. So we've got a choice to make here. We've somehow got to fish or cut bait. My recommendation in talking to Mr. Bilodeau is that he estimates for him, he has two divisions in his company, one that does financial statements and one that does financial audit. Everybody clear so far?
Yep.
Asha, clear so far?
Yeah.
So I asked him what it would cost if we turned that portion of the financial statement work that hasn't been done, and been promised, and isn't coming forward, what it would cost, and he said somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000. I don't know what we pay the current gentleman for doing his work. I feel sorry, I should know, but I don't know. I don't know how we can go about telling that individual that we're gonna yank the work from him if we decide that. But that's what we've got to discuss today, because this thing can't drag on. We've already almost passed what Mr. Bilodeau had for a promise date to finish the thing.
So
got any
are you done?
comments?
Can I,
Yep,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, I talked to John Lifer. He was in good spirits, and he said he's feeling well, and he's doing well. And I talk about the financial statements because most companies or the government is now working on the financial statements are audited 2013. And here in Carroll County, we have to finish 11 and 12. He said that he just received, not too long ago, statements from the office from 2011 because they were making adjustments to the account. And he received it not too long ago, so he can now complete it 2011, and he can send it now to the audit company. And I asked about 2012. He said they made still adjustments to the account, the office, and he didn't receive the adjustments to the account. He didn't receive the information from the office. And if he does not receive the information, he cannot put those financial statements together. So he said he doesn't have those financial statements from 12 to put together.
But
If
does
he
have-
received that,
does have
he
11.
can put it together. He said he just received the 2011 because they make adjustments in the accounts. And he just received it, so now he put it together. So he will copy it off, he said, and send it to the audit company because he could finish now 2011. 2012, he said, he didn't receive yet
Okay.
because he's still making adjustment. I don't understand why we're still making adjustments in accounts from 11 and 12. The book should be done. We should be working on 2013. He also mentioned that 4 or 5 years ago, I was not on the board, he already talked to the board about these issues. He's not getting the financial statements on time to do his work. That is what he said. I said, you must have talked to the previous board because that is the first time I hear
First time
about
I
it.
heard it.
So that is what he told me yesterday.
Okay, I got a couple of questions, Commissioner Kenney. Did he let you know when just receiving the adjustments meant? Was it?
Couple of
Days
days.
ago,
But
couple of
no,
weeks?
I assume a couple, maybe
Well,
a
that's
couple
what we're
weeks
trying
ago.
to find out.
Yeah, so he said he just received it, but he said not too long ago. So he just received it, and I asked him for follow-up information. I just want to know exactly when he received it, but he didn't. He said he doesn't know at the top of his head. He need to look at it, but he just received it, he said.
Well,
And
the
he was
apparent-
going to send it out to the audit company, the 11, but the 12 he cannot finish because he still, he need to get it from the office because he said they told him they make adjustment, but they never sent him in the adjustment, so he cannot finish the 12.
We're talking about 11.
Yeah, I know, but
Dave,
He's
well, Mr. Bulio told me that he talked to Mr. Lyford, and Mr. Lyford promised him that he'd complete it by Friday, and then he promised him he'd have it Monday, and he doesn't have it. So how can Mr. Lyford be promising these deliveries if he doesn't have the
If he
the
can't.
materials? Something doesn't add up here.
Yeah.
Should we bring Kathy Gary up here
Yes,
and
I
ask
think we
her?
have to.
And ask her, did she just send the adjustments, or did she send them a month ago, or someone isn't telling the truth here?
I don't know because I listened what John Lyford is saying. I listened last week what Kathy Gary was saying. I have no idea. But even if they send it a month ago or 2 months ago, okay, he should have it, but it is still late. Why are we making adjustment in accounts of 2011 and 12? I don't understand that.
Well, when she
We'll
comes up
find
here,
out.
you can ask her.
Yep.
While she's gone, if we've got a minute, I had a lengthy discussion with the Tamworth Dental Center. And the dentist is gonna talk to the board and call me up and,
Talk to us?
no, he's gonna talk to his board.
Yeah.
And because we're just paying exorbitant prices here for dental work.
For who?
It's very,
For
for the
inmates.
inmates.
Inmates?
Yeah,
it's
he's one
very
for
high.
$2,000. And so I asked him, I told him I'd like to come up and talk to his board and see if we get a reduction from all these other health institutions for inmates, but apparently we don't get one here.
Why are we not getting, we should get a special rate.
What?
We should get a special rate.
We should?
Yeah.
I think so too. But we didn't. They really fill a tooth, they usually pull them.
Yep.
So, that's one we gotta keep an eye on. That's that's one.
Okay, you're gonna be meeting with them then at their, whenever they meet?
If he can convince his board to talk with us, yes.
Okay.
I'll go up and talk to him. Two of us, three of us go, it's a meeting, so I'll go.
Okay. What else you got?
That's, we've got Spyglass, and then you talked about internet usage policy and a mission statement.
Yep.
And we gotta do something about coming up with agenda, policy for setting the agenda. We should not be getting something here that, for instance, from the, and I think Commissioner Kenney's brought this up before, and I agree with her, we shouldn't just have Robin Gordon, attorney, and not have any, I'd be totally unprepared about what she's going to speak.
Mhm. Okay.
So, I think that's a pretty easy one to solve.
Lynette, do you have the mission statement or any of that information?
And Howie just sent me something yesterday morning that I forwarded to you, so you would.
I
have
did
it.
get it.
I apologize, I only have one copy that he.
And what is this again?
That was Howie's response that he just sent yesterday.
Oh,
My
okay.
guess is it's more than two
So-
pages.
This is, what is this? Oh, this is his recommendation for,
I have no problems
The
with
mission
what,
statement?
what he recommended on that,
and
unless somebody else does.
And this
I
was,
didn't, I'm
and this-
negligent, I didn't print it out.
and the other one, the other page of this is, what the corrections had sent before.
so we have from the nursing home and from correction.
Oh, yes, I did, I saw this.
Yeah. But Howie just sent this yesterday,
Okay.
as his kind of input to. I don't think I gave you the second page. You do?
All right, let's put this aside
Yep.
for now.
Good morning, Kathy.
Kathy, we got a problem here. Have we provided all of the financial information to John Wyford to do his report for the 11 and 12 year?
Yes,
He doesn't need anything else.
not that I'm aware of. If he asks for something, we provide it to him.
Was there any adjustments made to the year 2011 recently?
Not recently. There was one that was given to him in the fall.
And in 12?
Year 12, was there any
You make
adjustments made
adjustment
there?
in the
We
account?
haven't given him any, I mean, he hasn't asked for any. We've given him what he's asked for.
So we haven't given him any adjustments. What was the,
Yesterday, I
You're-
talked to John Leifer. He said that he couldn't finish the 2011 because there were adjustment makes to the account, and he received it not too long ago. So he can send it out now to the audit company. But in 2012, he said you still made some adjustments, and he didn't receive that. So he cannot finish or do 2012. That is what he said.
What he said, okay.
so you don't know of any adjustments that's
To
being
the
made?
account?
No, I mean, I'm not really comfortable talking about this in front of the camera,
Yeah,
because I know the adjustment that she's referencing was given to him back in the, last year, not just recently.
not just recently. And that was for 2011.
Yeah, it was a small,
All right, what was,
What about a 12?
what about 12?
we haven't gotten any requests for any adjustments or anything.
When we talk about adjustments, are we talking about?
Because he sends us adjustments.
He sends us
Auditors'
adjustments.
year-end adjustments. We don't have any.
So we don't do the adjusting.
No,
He-
no, they send us.
He makes suggestions
yeah.
to do adjustments.
Yeah, yeah.
He said you made some adjustment to the account of 2012 and he did not receive it. So you don't make certain adjustments? I mean,
No, he
you don't make any adjustments to the
he
account?
gives us year-end adjustments to do.
Okay.
I think we should have Mr. Lyford here, though. Gee, I don't know what this is understanding. What does he means now with the adjustment? And I mean, he should come up here with his stuff. If we are stuck for so long, why didn't we have Lyford here and talking what he doesn't have and what he needs and show us the adjustment? Because I don't know. It's
All right,
getting now.
so
He said this now.
From what you found out,
I don't
he
get
has
it.
got the adjustments or whatever is necessary.
For 11.
2011.
Yeah.
And he told you that he would be sending that to the
To
auditor.
the audit company, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
he
he
called me
received it not too
yesterday.
long ago.
He called
And
me
he said,
yesterday and he had said he had spoken with you.
yeah.
And, yeah, he was sending it out to them and to us.
He also told them he'd have it there last week.
I know.
There's some holes in this story.
So he said 11 he was going to send out to the audit company. But he said he cannot finish the 12. I don't know what he means now with adjustment. I have to see it because you said he is making adjustment.
Yeah,
Now he is waiting for adjustment from the office to finish his work. So I don't know exactly. Maybe we should, why are we not, maybe I will call him, maybe to come here
We
and
need to-
explain what he needs,
We
because
need to have him come on.
I don't know what he needs, I don't know what he means with adjustments, and I don't know precisely what he's talking, what is he waiting for, because now we
You're
have
not
the
gonna
other
be here next
company,
week, are you?
the other company waiting also, the audit company, what we hired, he's waiting for those
Yeah, no, I
statements
know.
to audit, those statements.
Okay, so he told you on the phone yesterday that he was sending the information.
So
To
11
them
is
and-
finished.
And to us.
And to
yes,
us.
Yes. I asked him if he could send it electronically, and he's not able to send it electronically. Was sending packages.
And when did he say he was gonna send it?
I spoke with him yesterday, and
Did
he
you
was,
specifically say, are you going to send it today, John?
Is he going?
Or are you going to send it tomorrow, John?
Well, yesterday was a storm,
the
so he's probably
storm,
gonna
I
send it
don't,
today.
today, because I don't think he was gonna make it out in this storm.
So he's gonna send it today, and then, well, we still need to talk to him, because we need to know what's going on with the 12 now. Because now you said he's making the adjustment, and he doesn't request certain items, and he is saying now he doesn't get those stuff from the office, so.
We gotta have him come
I don't
somehow.
know what they, but we need to move forward and sending the stuff to the audit company.
What
Well, I
was,
think one of the things we ought to do is Kathy ought to call him right now when she goes downstairs and say, John, did you send the stuff? And then we'll know that Bulio gets it tomorrow.
yeah,
If he hasn't sent it, then why haven't you sent it? And,
Because obviously he said he got your adjustments, so he received them, so he should send them out now.
okay.
Then we can
Okay.
talk about.
You go down and
12.
call him
Yep.
and find out if he sent it, when he sent it. And he's sending us a copy and he's sending them a copy, so we'll know whether it got sent or not when we receive it.
Yep,
And he's sending it by mail,
yeah, priority mail.
priority mail. Okay. Then the next question you ask him, what about the 2012?
Okay,
And are there any adjustments to be made to the 2012?
okay.
Okay?
Yep,
Otherwise, it's gonna cost us between $12,000 and $15,000 to have this other company do the financial statements, which he was supposed to do.
But we already pay him for 11 and 12. Do you know how much he got paid? Because the
I-
budget was $15,000 a year, he got paid. And now You have a W
We
form
have
for him?
1099s we will show you because he said you seemed to be confused. You had said that we paid him $50,000.
I look in the budget,
And we did
yeah.
not pay him $50,000.
I look in the budget and it said, I asked before and I was told it was $15,000
No.
for the audit financial statements.
Told you it was $50,000.
$15,000.
Who told you?
Where'd you find that?
I think it was
50,000?
the office. 15.
Oh, 15.
15.
Okay,
Fifteen.
all right, so
Saying
maybe
50.
he
What?
misunderstood your.
Oh, he understand 50?
Yeah, he was. like-
Oh, no. That is in the budget. The
No,
line
no,
item
I
is
know,
said. We
but
talked
he-
about
he-
it numerous
he-
times.
He thought you said 50.
Oh, no, I never shared it. I have to call.
15
him.
is right
I
in
have
the-
to
is
call
right
him
in the
back.
ballpark.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyways, I will go down and call.
Okay. Let us
Thank
know what
you.
you find out. It's ridiculous. All right. Let's take a look at the mission statement.
We already had this. I mean,
Should we add in the most efficient and cost-effective manner possible?
I think so. I don't have a problem with it.
I think that what we have here, the mission statement, what we already have looks good, but this is the input, so we can just add something.
Okay. You got his paper. What did he want to change that mission statement to?
Oh, it's possible to have in the most efficient manner possible, but not be saving any money, so be cost-effective. So I would add in the most efficient and cost-effective manner possible.
Let's see it.
You don't have to do it, but that's
By the
what I
most
would think.
Effective and efficient service.
Well, is this the mission statement for the commissioners, or is it a mission statement for Carroll County government?
I don't know, but Jason's isn't bad at all.
What's that?
I said, I don't know, but Jason's isn't bad at all.
It's just getting long, that's for
It's
sure.
long, that's all.
So, does every department have their own mission statements that they put something out? Because everyone is shepherded on their website. So this is like the county mission statement.
This is the Board of Commissioners
this
mission
is here,
statement.
Okay. So they can also have their own on the website,
Yeah.
each department.
Let's not confuse things now. Let's stick with ours.
Yeah, we already have one enough. That's what we have, that's good enough.
All right, what do you want to do? We got 3 suggestions here.
Jason's isn't too bad if you take out the last sentence.
Yeah, I don't think you need the last sentence. It is the mission of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners through transparent leadership to provide guidance to employees and establish the highest ethical standards in order to enable them to provide effective and efficient service to the residents of Carroll County.
The only thing they have to do is change them to something else.
And spell residence correctly.
Hmm?
And spell residence correctly.
Did we miss that one?
Resident.
Residence,
Residence, yeah.
resident.
Resident.
And down at line B for benevolence is the same. And there's a word missing.
Where?
To
To foster goodwill and respect all
for-
residents and employees.
Respect for all residents and
Should be.
employees. And residence is also spelled wrong there.
Well, I like the one we've got here,
Okay,
down the bottom. I think we can change the line.
just had the darn thing.
What do you think? I mean, this, what I'm saying, what do you want to,
Where'd it go to? It just had
what do you want to change? What do you think of that one?
You know, I
No,
think,
that's Jason's. Did you steal mine again?
I think
Yes,
the
it's my writing on there.
The mission statement, what we have, almost covered like everything, almost what is there, also what he's saying. I think we have a good mission statement, what we
Which
have
one
here.
which one you
No,
want?
this one, what we already have.
That one here?
Yeah, so it's similar, I mean, it still covers almost everything what is in it.
This isn't a bad one, the one here. This is, but I would add in cost effective.
Yeah, I think that one might be the,
Short.
yeah, it's shorter and it's to the point, and I think
We already
it covers
were.
it.
Yeah, I think what
Do
we
we want
have,
do we want to make a motion that we accept that one?
the one what we have, yes.
No, the one that,
Oh, which one? What are you talking about?
this one here.
Is it from,
I don't like Carroll
from
County
the
government,
nursing
though. I
home?
think it ought to be Carroll County Board of Commissioners.
Okay, I don't,
Commissioner statement, isn't it?
Yeah.
so this one. So you want to add it where? Here in the beginning?
This becomes
That become the mission statement now?
the mission of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners is to provide the highest quality services
Mhm.
to and for the residents of Carroll County in the most efficient and cost-effective manner possible.
It's fine.
Okay?
And then, are we going with this then? The rest what we have? So
And then
that
I
is
would-
going on the top?
My suggestion would be we go with that mission statement, and then we go with consistent with the following values:
And then we put a
leadership,
ballast on.
transparency, fairness, ethics, appreciation, respect, awareness, and innovation.
Yep.
Anybody have a problem with that?
Oh,
Nope, that looks good.
Okay, that then becomes our mission
Yeah.
statement.
okay, so still, who's
So
hijacked
the
mine now?
introductory paragraph, who wrote that?
I think,
Who wrote that
I think
piece?
Howie gave his input, Howie
Is that
Chandler.
Mr. Chandler?
However,
Yeah.
he took some of ours that we originally put together, and then he added some things to
Okay,
it.
so you're using Howie Chandler's introduction in your list, right?
Yeah. But we're probably going to get another draft, so we will be all set. Because she's going to add it.
All right. You want me to take that and make sure it gets typed up, or what?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to do it?
No, you can do it.
All right.
Okay,
So we're going with that mission statement, and we're going with this,
draft.
you want to draft again?
No, I mean, we're going with the one that says draft.
Okay. All right, I'll get it done. All right, what else was there? A spyglass.
But are we going to make a motion to accept?
Oh, you
or
want
what
to?
now?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, we don't have to.
Go
I
ahead.
mean,
No.
if you, if we're done with it.
I'm done with it.
Okay.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, motion to accept the mission statement as corrected. We
As-
just added,
As,
yeah, we
all
just
right.
add
As
that.
drafted.
as drafted.
Yeah.
Do I hear a second? I'll second it. All those in support of the, any further discussion on it? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, then so voted. We'll take care of that. We do have some internet policies about using electronic equipment that we have in all the offices, and when that's going right now, so we'll get back to that. You want to talk about Spyglass?
Yep, I talked to Mr. Fisher yesterday, finally, and asked him if there was an opt-out clause in his quote, and there isn't. And the reason there isn't is because they took 2 most active months and came up and used that as their model to come up with the savings. As he said to me, you know, if you've got a $50 line and they take the $50 line out, then you've got a $50 reduction. That's easy. But he said what the problem is the number of calls. You don't know whether the volume is up. So he did use the 2 most active months, which should generate us the most savings. And then we chatted about that for a while, and then he said one of his goals, and he can't promise it, is he hopes that to be able to recoup some money from the phone company for charges they've made that they shouldn't have made. And that was about it.
So what do you think we should do?
Well,
He's talking about $7,500, right?
yep. We are still paying 40 cents a minute for interstate calls and 20-something cents a minute for intrastate calls. That's because we told the sheriff to hold off until making any changes until we got this thing straightened out, and this is dragged out, so we continue to pay those charges from what I can see. The penalty for not using all the minutes is still on the bill. So,
Asha, what do you think about
Yeah.
Spyglass?
Well, so he cannot give us guarantee for the second and the third year, is that correct? We're
look
not-
at it that way, he can't give us a guarantee for the first year.
He
As
can't-
I
he
said,
can't.
he's taken the 2 most active months and based his quote on that, and the variability of the number of calls is where the issue is.
And so he wants $7,500 for the first year, and he cannot even give us guarantee for the first year.
No.
Well, he said that's
No
what,
guarantee.
that's what the savings gonna be.
That is what he thinks,
That's what he thinks it's gonna be.
on base of 2 months'
The
work.
2 most active months, yeah, which would benefit us.
I shouldn't say, maybe I misunderstood the 2 most active, but he said I believe he said he used January and February when they did the survey.
Yeah.
And that was, when they did their work, must have been in the fall, wouldn't it?
I don't know when it was done. The only thing I look at is the longer we wait, the less money we're gonna save. We just
If
keep
we're
paying
going
and
to
paying
save
and
it.
paying.
And how much was the sheriff department? That was the highest a minute? Was it 50 cents a minute?
40.
40. Excuse me. You know, a few years ago, we have Captain Myers. He came to us and he wanted us to sign certain information or agreement about, was it 4 or 5 lines what he added? He said we're going to have significant savings in the end, but I think that was not correct then. Because the sheriff department was going to be very low when he came to us. He came with an agreement.
I think we ought to go with Spyglass. They did the work, they did the estimate, they come up with a proposal. All right, it's gonna cost us $7,500. Hopefully we'll recoup most of that the first year,
Or maybe all of it, or maybe
or
more.
maybe all of it, maybe more. But the second year and the third year, there'll be considerable savings, so I would agree that we sign a 3-year contract with Spyglass and get this thing going.
And where is the contract? Do we have a contract?
I don't
So
have it
I
right in
think
front of me.
we should read the contract very good. Are they going to write it up if you're going with them? Who's writing up the contract? Spyglass?
What we signed was the contract.
No, that was
No.
just an agreement to do the survey.
We signed we signed the agreement to do the survey.
Somebody asked him when he was on the telephone about the contract, and he said that is, what we signed was not only the agreement to let them look at it, but the contract.
Oh,
Really?
so if we go with them, that we can use the same thing. That's the contract, too.
That's my understanding.
Have to check that out again.
Okay?
Yep.
Do I hear a motion?
The only question, oh yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, make the motion, and I'll second it. We can discuss it.
I'll make a motion that we go with Spyglass to take care of our telephone cost, and that it not exceed $7,500 the first year.
Well, I think it's an odd number, isn't it? It's 75 something or other. Make the motion.
You want to make the second?
Just make the motion for the amount of money that he has on his agreement. And then it's 7350 or it's 7530. I'm pretty sure there's another digit in there somewhere.
I think it was around, it was 7,500.
Was it?
It's around
I think so,
7,500,
yeah.
but it may have been, all right, I'll change it. I'll make the motion that we go with Spyglass, not to exceed $7,600 for the first year, and that we have savings the second and third year.
That is what you put
I
in
don't
the
even have to
motion?
put that in there.
You put it in a motion, you have savings?
No.
I don't even know what
No,
you have
I
savings
don't know
or
what it's gonna
not.
be, so. I make a motion that we go with Spyglass, that their contract not exceed $7,600,
The first year?
period.
And I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Go
The
ahead.
only question I had after Bayring came in here today, and I would hope we're gonna find another one or two telephone line vendors or whatever they call themselves. Is that going to affect if they put in, the fiber optic lines a year and a half down the road? Is that gonna affect our savings? Or will it result in savings that we would have gotten anyway?
It's a good question. Possibly could.
Yep.
So because of that, we don't wanna, look, the fiber optics, we're not gonna be able to put that in until next year, because
No,
it's
I'm just tossing that out.
I know,
there.
I know.
I'm gonna vote in favor of going with Spyglass.
I know, I'm just saying that, so the fiber optics is not gonna take place until next year, and it probably won't be until in the fall of that year. So now we've got 2 years gone by, so we're talking about 1 year maybe, that there would be some changes.
And if it goes into the third year, the very least that happens, as Asha pointed out here a few weeks ago, is we break even.
Yeah.
We paid him the 75, we've saved the 75 the second year.
Yep.
And all we won't gain is the true savings in the third year.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Ashley, you understand that?
I understand Spyglass, yeah.
So a motion's been made, been seconded. Any further discussion?
Let's take a roll call on this, David, please.
A roll call's been requested.
Commissioner Kenney?
No.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes,
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
then so voted. And I guess the reason you don't want to save any money is that,
I want to save money, but there's, I don't know, there's still no guarantee.
you can't guarantee because you don't
Yeah,
know how
well,
many
like we
calls
said,
is going to be made.
Yeah, but we can go to another provider, we have Fairpoint, and see if we can get a better deal, a better rate.
All right, motion been made and seconded.
Yep,
Vote was taken.
done.
You took the vote.
Yes.
Asha voted no, you voted yes, I voted
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Motion was made, more than seconded, I thought you were.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Voting
It's all
mode
done.
again.
Motion passed.
Motion passed.
All right, what else?
Internet usage.
You got some, did you bring in any of the policies for our electronic internet, the use of computers and all that stuff?
I didn't bring it.
You didn't bring it in? Okay.
No.
Why did that come up again all of a sudden, David?
Well, it came up at the IT committee. I actually brought it up that they ought to be reviewed to see if they were missing some. I think it came up way back when somebody was playing games on the computer at, during the working hours.
Yes.
And that's where that started anyway. All right, anything else that we want to talk about in the work session?
Well, I would hope Kathy Gary, she's in a long discussion with John, what? You wanna call her up and see if she's coming back up?
12 o'clock. Sure. Hello? Who have I got? Kathy Armstrong. I'm looking for Kathy Geary. Okay, I'm just trying to find out whether she made the call or not to John Lightfoot. Did she make the phone call to John Lightfoot? She left a message, so he hasn't called back. Okay, thank you. She left a message, and he hasn't called back. Doesn't help us at all. You got something you want to
Go back into non-public.
go back into
When
non-public?
you're all done, yes, please.
We're all done, aren't we? We get the mission statement, spyglass, internet,
Yeah.
audit, Stratford, and agenda changing.
And we need to go back in the non-public, they got some
Oh, I
information.
know, but I just saying, that was my work session,
Okay.
about you two.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Did you address the bills that you were gonna look at?
What's that?
Bills, I have bills on
He
mine.
talked about the dental
Oh, is that it?
bill.
Is it the dental bill you,
He brought a dental bill up.
I have bills on my list for the work session. Did you cover
Was
that?
Oh, yeah,
it
just,
was
I
a
mentioned
dental-
that.
Just the dental bill, okay.
Dental bill for
Well, he brought a dental
offenders.
bill up from Tamworth, I guess.
Okay, let's go
Does Asha
back.
have anything for work session? You got yours, I got mine.
You got
I
anything?
already say what I wanted to say.
You don't have anything for work session?
No, I'm
Okay.
going to talk about the
How about,
items.
I lost
How about
it.
what?
Forget it.
Okay.
I forgot what I
We need to
was
go
gonna say.
back in the non-public, to do the non-public minutes, and to do whatever they found out. Right?
So I think then we're done, so I don't think we're going back into.
What?
I said we're done then. No, maybe he can clean up because we're done.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'll make a motion that we go back in the non-public for approval of the non-public minutes, and also to finish up what we had discussed in non-public previously. That's my motion. Wait a second.
Well, you need to also state again the RSA. I don't know if you stated the first time.
RSA 91A3, paragraph 2C,
Yeah, we're going for the jail.
and it's a jail. Roll call?
Second?
Does somebody?
I'll second it, I'll second it.
Okay. Motion made and seconded, roll call?
Commissioner Kenney?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
Okay. And Ed, we're all done for the day, actually, once we get through this non-public.